Let's begin where we left off. Ugh, there they all are. Oh, by the way, don't pay attention to Dex. He's stinky. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Carl is already poking around inside a salad bowl on the counter, glancing up at me briefly. Daxton's the only one sitting, staring at the water in his glass. I sling my rifle over my shoulder. I grab one of the salamander's cups from the cupboard and get myself what looks like an apple banana smoothie. The cup itself is labeled for some sort of convention, though the exact name of it has been worn away from many washings. As I move to the salad, Carl nudges me. At first I think he's just being playful, but then I follow his eyes. Leo's pacing back and forth by the window, muttering something about Clint. He keeps checking his phone, the wolf pretty evidently restless as all hell. Oh, by the way, Manga, if you're still here, this boy right here on the right, that's the boy I crushed on. TJ's looking at him too, his expression difficult to place. You see a cutie on screen? I mean, if you're talking about Leo, then yeah, he's cute. Leo is definitely a cutie. He's never been exactly hard to read when he's upset like this. His nervous tick always gives it away. Yet I can't tell what he looks more of, concerned or guilty. I'm usually good at reading folks, so this is kind of pissing me off. I take a seat next to Daxton. I'm a bit out of the loop here. His blue ears. Oh, you mean Daxton? The VTuber? What VTuber? I don't see no VTuber here. Well, welcome on in, Amiot. The blab welcomes you. I can't really do the blab on this avatar. But welcome on in. Hope you're having a good evening, buddy. His big blue eyes shift from person to person. Might be best if you fuck off again for a bit. Seriously, can you just explain something for once instead of being like a weird cryptic shithead? I can see the lines form along Daxton's smooth forehead as he furrows his brows. His skin so tightly stretched across his body it makes it even the slightest change of face readily visible. Assuming that starts with the letter S and loves Porter Robinson? My name is Potter Robinson, thank you. How dare. I'm chilling in VRC with a lot of weight avatar right now. Ah, okay. So you watching the stream in VR? I don't have a clue how the furry tits get my kind confused with his. As I grunt and mutter for him to eat my shit, I can't help but wonder if I should bring him up to speed or not. Cutie Pubinson? I have not heard of that name. And thankfully, we won't have to. I guess part of me wants as many people as possible to know what happened. I mean, fuck, that's what I've always wanted, right? These fuckers finally acting like something happened. Oh, who did the follow? Bud Dog 31, welcome on in. How's it going? The blep welcomes you. Hope you're having a good evening, day, night, whatever time zone that you might be in. But welcome. And that our little group wasn't just old Leo, Chase, TJ, Jenna, Carl, and I. He said a bad word? Well, too bad. Too bad. This blep speaks its own mind. Eventually, everybody sits down to eat. There's not enough room at the kitchen island for everybody, so TJ and Jenna sit on the counter by the fridge. TJ not saying much. Alright, I still can't access Wi-Fi or make calls. Daxton, is it? Yep. We're not taking shelter from Clint. We wouldn't mean to... Were we not taking shelter from Clint, we wouldn't mean to impose upon you like this, so my apologies. It's alright. He pokes at a clump of almond shavings in his salad. I just want to know what's going on. She looks to TJ, then after a quiet affirming nod from the lynx, she responds to the salamander. I'm good at 8:29 p.m. Ah, alrighty. When we were younger, one of our neighbors, our friend, drowned in Lake Emma. She pauses. Actually, they died in a hospital later on, but the point is that we were all there for it. It was a rather traumatizing experience, even for the older members of our sort of friend group at the time. She speaks in such a plain, even tone. She might as well be reading the directions off the back of a TV dinner. Everyone, including Daxton, looks incredibly uncomfortable. The salamander just nods in faux understanding. Oh. He digs into his salad with such focus, it's like he's trying to read a book in there. So let's just jump right into it. She takes a big drink from her smoothie, leaving us in anticipation. I groan quietly. Flynn? Fucking what? Do you believe that Chase killed Sydney? What? Daxton looks up, letting out a wisp of laughter, assuming we're joking. As he sees he's the only one laughing, he starts to look visibly tense. I didn't fucking expect her just to straight up ask me this either. Well, the way I see it, either Chase is lying or TJ is. Or fuck it, maybe they both are and covering for each other's asses. But Chase in there was spouting bullshit like a steer's rear. I point to TJ, who quickly looks away. Threw me under the bus the moment he started squealing. Chase wouldn't lie to me about something big like this, yeah? But neither would you, Tej. I just... excuse me. I swear, every time I stream, it's like my allergies then start to kick in. But then the rest of the day, it's just like, no, we don't care. Okay, there we go. The wolf rubs his paw through the fur on his face. TJ shifts, looking like he's about to start crying again. I'm not lying. It's still word versus word with you two. And Chase fucked off once TJ told us what happened from his point of view. Which took you long enough, by the way. I hard-eye the lynx, but his own eyes are cast so far away from me, they might as well be in the back of his head. TJ. Jenna rubs her paws on a napkin, wringing it some before speaking again. Tell us about the monster you saw. Oh, come on! Jenna ignores me. Give us as many details as you can, and take as much time as you need. TJ clutches his bowl of salad in his lap with both paws. It looks like he hadn't had a bite. Allergies want to help in with your cute... Excuse me? Hold on. You're in on this too now? You too? Of all people? Wow. 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 But I am not cute, unfortunately, so that does not qualify. His eyes take on a more reflective quality than they always do when the tears are starting to swell. It's unnerving on a sort of primal level to see TJ tearing up like this. He's an adult, a grown-ass man looking like he did when he was a kid. Reminds me of how little any of us have truly grown up. Like I said before, tall with burnt skin, reddish I guess? How tall? Like, almost 7 feet? Jenna frowns. How did it move? Really fast or not at all? It was like pictures, you know? A slideshow that was being fast-forwarded. Carl finally looks up from his hoops, the ram appearing increasingly nervous. When it walked through the water didn't move like a wake. Oh, I think they meant to say wave. It just splashed out with each step. Tell me about the face again, please. Okay. TJ's having such a hard time getting the words out, but Jenna doesn't stop. She looks wrapped? 3 holes. 2 for the eyes and 1 for the mouth. They weren't like bloody or anything, just empty and dark. Everybody's silent for a moment. Then next to me, Daxton rises up to his feet. The salamander walks around to where TJ's sitting, then points to something behind him. Like this? Oh. He's pointing at the electrical socket? TJ turns, looks at it, then he twitches as if he's startled. He quickly wipes his eyes and nods. Daxton stares, slack-jawed. Leo takes a loud slurp from his smoothie. There's a dribble of the pink liquid stuck on his fur around the edge of his jowls. Guys, am I missing something here? I'm sorry I had to. The opportunity was there. I had to take it. Well, just to make sure that you remember next time, manga. Just remember. Not cute. I saw it. Saw what, Carl? That thing. Carl gestures toward the electrical outlet. I give him an incredulous look as we meet each other's glances for a second. Yeah? I saw a pretty nifty light switch back when I was 13. I looked at TJ. It didn't make me hide the truth about my friend's murder for about a decade. Shut up, dude. I blink at Carl. He stands up, still staring at the socket. When I crashed my car that night, you remember? I do. Carl didn't want to talk about it for months after it happened. I only found out about the truth then. It was after he dropped out of college. Apparently it was way fucking past twilight and he was drugged out of his mind. That scabies-ridden fat-ass Jeremy gave him acid in his trailer and he had a bad trip. Carl described some cartoon he put on, a tiger and a bird with the tiger baking the bird alive. He mentioned how vivid everything was and how the fucking Jeremy wouldn't stop laughing. He busted out of there and drove off all hightail-like. While making his way down Route 65, he swerved and hit a pole. The impact would have killed him if he weren't so thick-skulled. And of course, he told his dear old parents about it and they took the blame for everything. They didn't want him to be tested when the cops showed. It wasn't until a couple months ago he told me, his drug out of mind, he thought he had driven into Pueblo and picked up Chase. Carl claimed that he was taking him to the whole ride back. Talking to him the whole ride back, telling him how college life was going and shit. Stroking his horns, mentioning how he missed him and wanted to get him back as a roommate. You know, all this shit Chase never actually said after Carl dropped out. The fucker barely even responded to his messages. He could have sworn he swerved off the road and struck the pole, killed Chase, crushed somehow at impact. He wouldn't stop shaking. I made a joke that I would have helped him bury the body. I threw up later thinking about it. Yeah. The Ram is looking at me now with these really big sad eyes. I never seen him like this, sober and fully fucking aware of really bad shit. Usually the moment shit starts getting remotely bad, he tokes till his mind melts the horrors away as he calls them. There's none of that shit here, that's for certain. I never liked how that makes me feel, and Daxon's too nerdy to know any pot dealers. This is gonna sound real nuts, but that thing that TJ's describing with the electrical socket face, it was chasing me that night, man. I saw it exactly how TJ described. That's how it moved. I thought I had outran it, but then it was in the car with me where I thought Chase was, and I hit the fucking pole, man. Where Chase was? Leo looks at Carl with the raised eyebrows. I let out a puff of exasperated air. You were tripping balls on acid. I looked to the rest of the group. That's why he thought he was with Chase. Leo's expression furrows. You've done acid, Carl. Yeah, I know how it sounds. I thought it seemed familiar earlier when TJ was describing it at City Hall, but that face, it was just like an outlet. Daxon's nodding along with everything that Carl says. Flynn, I literally was just telling you about this shit. I saw it in my dream, in the water. It's the second time I've seen it in 2 days. I recognize it too. Not in a dream or because of drugs, though. She looks over at TJ, who appears even more frightened with the confessions from those around him. When I was younger, well, much younger, I sometimes saw it during the times I was really angry or sad. It's the closest thing I ever had to what my grandmother described as a spiritual experience. When I told her about it, she told me it sounded a lot like Wendigo. What? Leo crosses his arms firmly over his chest, the wolf having been the last one who was still actually eating dinner. Guys, I understand the stress of all this, yeah, but seriously, this is too much. Jenna, you're pragmatic and all that, and to see you going off like this has me awfully concerned. This isn't one of our old VHS horror movie nights. He looks to me now, his voice stern and steady. Sydney is not some zombie thing rising from the lake to get revenge on his spring breakers. He was just a kid and he died, and we need to move on. Forgive. I don't give a damn, really. He brings his heavy paw up to his face, rubbing out the space between his eyes. His nose starting to bleed, probably cracking from how dehumidified I keep it in here. I want to believe what he's saying. I'm ready to call all these fuckers out on their bullshit, but at the same time the coincidence of all this is just too much. TJ's tough to read now, but I don't doubt the sincerity of Carl, Jenna, or even Daxton and that they believe what they're saying. I just want the truth. That's all I want. I sigh. I think we should all talk to my aunt. Why your aunt? She's good with this sort of shit. I pause. Well, I don't know what this is that's happening, but fuck, I don't know what else to do. Leo just frowns at me. I'm guessing you're wanting to go now, huh? You can go home if you want. I know it's tempting now that Chase isn't here for you to stalk. You're right partially. I'm really wanting to talk to Chase all alone about this. The lying and stuff. He shrugs. Who knows? Maybe he's seen the Wendigo too. Do you have a spare gun I could borrow? Jesus, is this really what it's come to? I look at Leo for a long moment. He's been a sort of gun nut as of late, which is real strange noting how against them he was in high school. You licensed? Yep, open carry. I know what I'm doing. That's not saying much noting our state has the most lax weapon licensing standards in the nation. That's typical Jenna for ya. Reality's going out the window, but she'll still be here thrusting some socio-political bullet point in the middle of it. Huh, all my shit's licensed for me and me alone. Leo clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth. Bah, this isn't the time for your by-the-book stuff. I'm grabbing one of your flashlights. I'll be in the van. He opens the front door and leaves. I guess we're going. Seems so. Carl and Daxton look at each other. I'm not feeling very good. If you're gonna puke, do it on Dax's side of the sink. The salamander, who is already looking unnerved, somehow manages to frown even more. Jenna strokes the link's arm, muttering something that I can't quite catch. For a split second, a glimmer of sad smile appears on his face. It diminishes quickly, but I guess I'm glad TJ's not completely broken. The group begins to head out, leaving their plates and cups on the counter. I linger a bit, catching Jenna as she's wiping her paws off on a dish towel. Hey, yeah? You wanted to tell me something? She gives me a look like she doesn't know what I'm talking about. Huh? She pauses, then nods as if remembering something. I'm happy for you and Carl. Her tone is idle, her mind seemingly focused elsewhere. If he's going to explore his sexuality, it's good that it's with someone he knows and trusts who's, experienced. What? I cross my arms tightly over my chest, squinting down at her. How the fuck would she know I'm experienced? We ain't a thing. Yes, you weren't ever much for having things in general. She looks out the window, her expression kind of like a mix of distant and troubled. Everyone's filing into the van except Daxton, who's holding up his phone to the sky, trying to get service, I guess. As I open my mouth to rebut, she holds up her paw. It's not what I wanted to talk to you about, and I suppose current matters are. She sighs. More pressing than would be appropriate to delay from this conversation. Her demeanor seems to shift. Her posture is not as full of that holier-than-thou air that she usually seems hell-bent on putting on. I can see Leo behind the wheel now, surely getting antsy. Yeah, Leo looks like he's about to pop a hemorrhoid already. I just wanted you to know, I understand your concerns more clearly. I grunt. Yeah, well, hopefully my aunt can help me understand yours. I thumb back toward the electrical socket. Jenna looks at it, purses her lips, and scowls. I can't tell if she's just frowning at herself at this point. When all logic's gone out the fucking window, her shtick of being the rational mind here is certainly a challenge. The small nod, she turns, heading out with the rest. I sigh, pulling back the lever on my repeater and watching the clip extend outward. I remembered to load it after all. He's hoping I don't need it. I push it back in and head outside. Leo's quiet as he drives, occasionally checking the rearview mirror. Everyone else is pretty silent too. It's weird being in a car with Carl and him just sitting there quietly, not staring at his phone or anything. It's like he doesn't even know what to look at, and is stuck on pondering his own thoughts for a change. I look back at Jenna, who's monitoring her phone for any sign that the signal will stay consistent enough to get a message out. Oh, I don't like those reverse keys. That's a... Reverse keys like that do get me kind of unnerved a little. Especially in like the tone that this song is in right now. It's hard to believe it, but she was actually trying to apologize earlier. In her own weird way, of course. Part of me wanted to say I was sorry for what I said at the river about how she treats her family, but that would be lying. I'm not sorry for what I said, but I can tell when something hit hard and hurt more than I'm happy with. People dance around shit all the time when so much of this bullshit could have been avoided if people were just honest with each other. I rolled down the window and propped my knees up to the dash, craning my neck some to peer at TJ in the mirror. He knows I'm watching him. Hell, I think everyone's watching him. Even with Socket Man as a cover story, keeping him silent about all this for so long is just cruel. Did he truly think not mentioning the fur color of the person in the water was sitting was for the best? Maybe he thought he could avoid a situation like this, a group getting shattered. Well, our group is fucked now. No way in hell I want to hang out with anyone but Carl after all this shit. And it wasn't like it was all peaches and gravy these past few years anyway. Chase, TJ, and Jenna hadn't so much as texted me since they left for college. And Leo, he used to visit me back at the warehouse when I was packed freight. Oh, when I packed freight. We fucked a couple times, but he seemed to get more and more disgusted with the arrangement. Couldn't tell if it was with me or him, but it was awkward as hell. I mean, I'm not the sentimental type, but when you're being screwed by somebody and they glance away anytime you look at them, it makes you feel like shit. I eventually had enough. Told him I wasn't his fucking otter and to get a flashlight. And to get a flashlight like the rest of us. He cut me out of his life right then and there. He even stopped visiting Carl. It's shitty watching somebody who was once a social butterfly turn into an absolute recluse. For the first part of this week, he was trying so hard to act like his old self that nothing's changed. We were fags and weirdos in the middle of butt fuck nowhere, and of course, we're stuck together at first. But as Carl says, shit's broke now. As we make the turn off of Margaret Street, I spot the familiar dust-covered plastic flamingos that adorn Auntie's yard. The manufactured house was built back in the 80s and still dons this sort of faded turquoise color scheme. She added these pink diamond-shaped bathroom tiles all around the roof's edge a couple years ago too. For Halloween and Christmas, she hangs up neon-colored tube lighting, and I swear you can see her house lit up from miles away. I'm not entirely sure what aesthetic she's going for. Carl called it the vintage trailer trash once, and I guess that's fitting enough. Reverse keys be tingling my brain, I like it. Sounded like the mom's in a bar, getting meaning in a sat. Yeah, I guess I could see that. I like reverse keys sometimes, but like when it's kind of like in a moody sense like this, it does get me a little unnerved. But I do like reverse keys, don't get me wrong, I do like them. Leo slows the van as we approach. I don't see any lights on, no car in the driveway. She cannot park in the garage, shit's still packed full of uncle stuff. Guys, the salamander pokes the glass of the window next to him, pointing at something across the street. That's Karen's place, right? Our old bus driver. Looks like somebody broke in. Is that recent? The colored glass of the front door is shattered. Piles of Technicolor shards are splayed across the concrete porch. Yeah, very, as in it wasn't like this when I stopped by this morning. People are taking advantage of emergency services being out. I hope she's okay. Her car's not there either. They broke her statue too. The little sombrero Chihuahua man statuette she had next to the door is completely shattered, smashed into 100 pieces. The wooden Bienvenido? I'm hoping I'm saying that right. The wooden Bienvenido sign that used to hang around his neck is split in half and laying in the dirt. Good. Jenna mumbles. I clutch my rifle a little tired, trying to see if there's any movement going on inside the house. It's completely still beyond the light swaying of pink lace curtains from the breeze outside. It's still probably best we speak with the mayor. Perhaps with what's going on, she'll return to City Hall. My heart drops in my chest. Yeah, that makes sense. Hopefully the crazy guy's gone by now. I don't know, she doesn't usually work Saturdays. Jenna raises an eyebrow at me. Well, this is quite a Saturday, Flynn. Leo sighs, putting the van into gear. Oh, that's right, because we locked him there. We locked Chase in there in the City Hall. City Hall it is. It's well into the night by the time we pull into the gravel parking lot. Sure enough, Auntie's teal hatchback Jeep is parked by the side of the building. Daxton squints at them points. A Dasher bumper sticker. On the chrome bumper sticker there's a decal of what I guess is a silhouette of Captain Amicus with some sort of insect on his face. In golden spacey font it reads, "These things are harmless, don't worry." I didn't know your aunt was so cool. She's not. I grumble idly, my mind racing as I try to think of a distraction to keep everyone away outside. Everyone but Carl and I are already getting out of the van. The ram gives me a nervous look before nodding at me and speaking up. "Dudes, wait a second." "What?" Leon's tone is curt as he looks back at the ram, who's sluggishly pulling himself outside. I feel like I'm going to be sick. Now? It's all that freeze-dried ice cream. It's so shitty I can't handle it. Carl begins to make retching noises, and Jenna quickly covers her ears. "Oh, God, Carl. Ugh, please, just don't throw up in my van, yeah?" Guys?" Carl continues to make some sort of the most visceral, gut-wrenching irping sounds I've heard. They practically sound wet. "Guys?" I turn and see what TJ's trying to get our attention for. A whole bunch of cars are driving down the road in our direction like a convoy. I recognize the one in front. It's Mark in his SUV. He works here at City Hall. I start to pull into the parking lot, it quickly filling up to the point where folks are starting to park on the road. What's going on? Here's my chance. That's Mark. Maybe he'll have some answers. I need to head inside real quick. I'll be right back. Jenna nods slightly, watching what looks like a bunch of townsfolk get at their cars in front of us. I pass the still hunched over Carl and give him a squeeze on the shoulder. Thanks. I feel like I'm actually gonna puke now after that. Don't. I head inside. It's quiet when I enter, though I can hear the subtle sounds of shuffling paper coming from down the hall. I'm starting to feel this strange sort of pang in my head, like someone's pressing on an ice pack to the front of my skull. Maybe it's because I'm nervous. Regardless, here I go. I walk lightly, peering around the corner into Auntie's office. Her fingers flick across the various pages with a manila folder, her tropical flower print scarf swaying with her every movement. I watch her, illuminated only by the soft glow of the moonlight outside. I'm wrought with this uneasy sort of feeling where I can't tell if she actually knows what I'm here or not, or whether she cares. It's a familiar feeling, but never one I quite got used to. There's a hell of a lot of ruckus outside. You looking for something? Anything of substance regarding the whole hysteria business? She speaks plainly. What? I'll tell you in a second. Is Mark here yet? She cranes her head to peer out the tiny slated window at the corner of her office. Yet there's not much of a view other than the side of a sage bush. I saw him pulling up in his SUV outside with like a whole convoy of folk following him. This about Clint? She looks up, seeming to notice my repeater for the first time. Her brow furrows. You know, under any other circumstance, I'd give you a chewing out for bringing that inside. I did hear he's been making a hell of a scene around town, waving the gun around. Figured it was a meth binge until I saw Dale doing the same damn thing. Diner Dale? That fucking otter's a kind of softy, ain't he? You don't think it's got to do with his painkiller addiction? I popped 4 of the pills he takes earlier, you know, for the eggs. It ain't the sort of thing to put you in a gunfighting mood. I nod. Despite everything she's telling me, I can't really focus on it. I keep looking back toward the closed reading room behind me. Fuck, might as well just get it over with. I take a deep breath. Did you let Chase out? What? She seems confused at the sudden change of topic. Chase, Leo's lover boy? Former lover boy. He hasn't been pounding on the door to get out? Boy, what are you talking about? I haven't seen him since you brought him in the Hendricks boy to City Hall the other afternoon. I turned, moving out to the hallway and unlocking the reading room door. I always thought it was weird that it had a lock face in the hall, though I think Auntie mentioned there used to be a back exit there. Sus me! Hello, welcome on in, buddy. The block welcomes you. Hope you're having an awesome evening, day, night, whatever time zone you might be in. Well, welcome on in. Welcome to our little story of Echo. Mark, hello. Sleepy doggo here? Oh yeah, I feel that. I got a couple of dogs in my room that are also sleepy too. Well, welcome on in, buddy. Happy to have you with us. What the hell? Flynn, what did you do? I ignore my aunt's exasperated voice as I push open the door, stepping into the dark room. It's mustier than a skunk's ass in here with all the rain damage. I can practically feel the mildew and mold on my toes as I run my hand along the wall. Eventually, I find the light switch. Chase? He's not in here? Carl's voice takes me by surprise, the ram standing slightly behind me. And of course Daxton's here too, the salamander gulping at the interior like he's in some kind of museum. I can't believe you locked Chase up. Like, do city clerks have the authority to do that? Not unless he's like archiving him. You told him? I glare down at the ram, who quickly throws up and flat out paws defensively. He's your roommate, dude, come on. It's not like he's part of the old group anyway. Fortunately, like Carl said, I didn't see the rest of the gang. Carl notices me peering past him and speaks up. They're, talking with Mark outside. It's about time he showed up. Hi, Mary. Hi. The two of them wave awkwardly. Auntie looks at the both of them with a sort of perplexed frown. Hello, y'all. She responds abruptly, quickly looking back up to me. Now, Flynn, just give me a sec. He's gotta still be in here. I see a stained blue V-neck shirt laying on the ground in the corner by the old bookshelves. Chase! Still no response. It's then that I notice that there's something moving on his shirt, little specks that seem to be gathering in the folds of the fabric. Oh, fuck me. I hold out my arm across the doorway, pushing Carl and Daxton back. Dude, what? Auntie, did Mark set off those bug bombs after work on Monday like I asked? I'm assuming by your tone that he did not. They hatched. Oh, goodness. Can we not play the pronoun game right now? What are y'all talking about? I see the unused can sitting knocked over in the corner. Stay back, Black Widows. I lower my arm and walk over to it, quickly popping the top and watching the fogger begin to mist the foul-smelling fumigation spray in the air. The effect is near instant. The skittering and pattern of the little spiders begin to grow more erratic. I watch as an adult one on Chase's shirt clambers on top of an increasingly still pile of little spiders. Just sits there writhing. I can feel something on my foot too, but my scales are too thick for it to be any threat to me. I hear Carl mutter behind me. I take back what I've always said. You do have balls. Excuse me? Sorry, Mayor Moore. What are you doing, Bubba? Sorry about that. My dog is acting weird in my room. He's just like staring at my window, and there's nobody outside. And now he's right next to me. Boys, I do not have time for this. As I look past the shelves, I see a big lump of fur curled up in the corner under one of the old metal desks. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. I dash over, grabbing at the otter's scruff and yanking his ass out of there. He's surprisingly light, and I realize I never picked him up before. Oh damn, is he okay? Water. Give me water. There's some in the mini fridge, I'll get it. As I pull him into a better light, he looks like absolute shit. His lips are chapped, bloody, and the whites of his eyes are bloodshot. There's also dribbles of vomit on the floor, which I have the misfortune of stepping in. Vomit and spiders. Fucking great. Chase, wake the fuck up. I give his face a hard slap. Carl winces. The otter wheezes raspily, letting out a kind of slow moan. Man, he's terrified of spiders. I know. Karma, right? The ram speaks in an uneasy tone, visibly uncomfortable at seeing Chase like this. Yeah, maybe. Next thing I know, Auntie's handing me a bottle of water. I bring it to his lips. Drink, you stupid idiot. If this was a prank of yours, it ain't a real gut buster, Flynn. Move over, you're gonna drown him. I feel a weird tingle in the back of my neck. Reluctantly, I step aside. I look at Chase, and part of me hopes he never wakes up. And I feel sick. Why is he just in his britches? I blink, glancing down and getting an eyeful of Chase's briefs. You didn't undress him before you shoved him in there, right? Or was that part of it? Jesus, no! God, no! I didn't do that! Daxton gives me a dubious look before shifting his concerned gaze back to the otter. Auntie, meanwhile, is propping his head up on a couple of office chair cushions, quietly urging the otter to drink as she wets his lips. They part for a moment, and Chase complies enough to get a swallow down. Again, part of me breathes a sigh of relief, while the other half seems to be filled with a sort of angry dread. Don't wake up. Daxton crouches down beside him, pulling back some of the fur around his collarbone and showing the swelling red skin beneath. Must have been where he got bit. Of course, 911 ain't working. Carl chuckles nervously. I guess it's too late to suck the venom out, right? You know that doesn't actually work. It's just dumb old westerns that make people believe that crap. Well, I had a great-grandpa, or great-great-grandpa, who died of a spider bite. I mean, I think it was a tarantula or something. Tarantulas ain't that venomous. He was old as hell, and there might have been like a fuckload of them, I don't know. Boys, this is real assuring talk, but could one of y'all get me one of them first aid kits from the bathroom? It's just around the corner. Daxon stands up again and nods, heading off. Chase's eyes are fluttering a bit now. Maybe he's having a seizure or dreaming something real crazy, I can't tell. The salamander returns, clutching the thick metal case that looks like it was from the 90s. Auntie takes it, opening it up and grabbing what she needs, like she's done this 100 times before. She applies the cold water to a piece of cloth and presses it against the spot near Chase's neck where the bite is. Once it's damp, she takes the old tube of antibiotic cream and squeezes out a quarter of the contents of the bite spot, then lathers it in. Chase winces, letting out a quiet cry. Stop. His voice is high-pitched and kind of pathetic, like a child's. Oh, don't whine, you're a big boy. I'd be whining if I was in his position. It's kinda fitting, like Carl said, ain't it though? He looks to me as if he was trying to gauge my expression. I managed to keep this pretty stone face despite everything. If he did what y'all saying he did. I can tell the weird distance Carl and I are keeping from him, despite his sorry state, is unnerving the salamander. Just a couple hours ago, as I figured we were old friends and such. Chase begins to sit up, and it's like my heart lurches. I get that feeling in my skull again, like brain freeze. No. No. Only Carl seems to notice as I clutch my temple, the ram giving me a nervous, concerned look. Finally, Chase looks to me. Holy shit! This is actually the first time that we get to see him. Like, in full portrait like this. Holy crap. What a handsome fellow. Flynn? Again with the childlike voice. It's like he's taunting me. I suck my lips. What the fuck am I supposed to say? I want to slap him again. I want the fucking truth. But he looks fucking pathetic. Everything's stiff. No kidding, you rolled in a darn Black Widow nest, kid. More interesting things to add to your little movie you're making of our fair town. Auntie sighs. I'm worried you'll still have some more content in here a bit. What? What's... Ow! He sees through his teeth as he clutches at his neck. What's going on? He reminds me of TJ, like he's about to start crying at a moment's notice or something. I hadn't seen him like this for a long time. Carl's gaze shifts to the floor. I feel weird. You okay? Everything hurts, but it feels different. It's like this isn't a dream. It's not? I look to Auntie. He's gonna be fine, right? These bites can be real painful. Could have been nastier with the brown recluse, but it still ain't gonna be fun. I'd get him to some professional help if I were you. If that's possible. I'm not gonna die? Chase peeps up, still clutching at his neck. How that's if you're an infant, elderly, or allergic? It's doubtful. The otter closes his eyes, letting out a long exhale. Meanwhile, Auntie stands up, heading toward the door. I need to speak with Mark and see what he found. I'll be outside. Thanks. As she leaves, I can hear the rumble of engines and hushed murmurs from a small crowd. Then the door shuts and it's quiet again. What's wrong with you, Chase? I try to keep my voice steady, though my vocal cords still shrill a bit as I say his name. I practiced for years to get rid of the girly gay tinge my voice had after puberty, but times like this I can't really hide it. Are you like a fucking sociopath or something? Are you getting off to this? You're just gonna go home and come thinking about all the pain you caused? Daxton flinches. I can tell he wants to step into Chase's defense. Chase says nothing. I can understand you screwing me over, you know. I originally figured out you didn't give two shits about Sydney or what happened to him. You just wanted my dick and that's fine. You followed me back to the river because that's all you wanted. Leo and the rest of your friends be damned. But, fuck, it was so much worse. Just admit it. Just say the words. No. What? Chase's arms and legs shake as he sits on the floor, craning his neck to look up at me. You're saying you didn't do it, despite what TJ said? He looks toward the door. You're an asshole, Flynn. He speaks, his voice still having that squeaky prepubescent cadence to it. But Sydney was a frickin' evil idiot, and I'm glad he died. Whoa! Holy shit, okay, so he just admitted it right then and there. You're glad you killed him. I'm glad he died. That's no secret. Daxon, looking 2 parts tense and awkward, steps further away from the otter. Chase's eyes begin to well up. He looks so weak but brimming with emotions. The salamander mutters something about checking on the commotion outside and heads outward. The noise from the parking lot is getting louder. I hadn't really noticed. Yeah, so like because in TJ's story, it was revealed that Chase killed him. But like now it's even having him admit to killing him. A long silence follows. Carl's like a statue beside the desk, unmoving, not daring to risk the attention, drawing attention to himself. Okay, we're gonna save here. Those last 6 months before it happened, it wasn't him anymore. Or at least, not fully him. What do you mean? You remember that one time he got Toby that ice cream cone from the corner shop in Payton? The cactus theme place that had like the I gave ice cream? I pause. It's such a weirdly specific thing that it takes me a moment to recall. It's almost fucking strange hearing Chase called TJ Toby again. He teased him the whole car ride up and he was upset like usual. Sydney bought him that strawberry waffle cone scoop, the one with the pointy end. He felt guilty, I think, for a while. Toby was talking about Sunday school or something, and Sydney just took the cone and started trying to stab him with the pointed end. It crushed in on itself, but he wouldn't stop, like he was super into it. And he just acted like he was scared, not of getting punished or anything, but just like in general, you know? I remember that. The shop manager was yelling at him and he looked terrified. I told him not to worry about the townies. My teenage self thought it was hilarious. Do you remember the moment he decided to do that? The look on his face? It was like a... Chase clutches at his neck some more, the otter clenching his eyes shut. Thing in front of him. Chase gesticulates in front of his head, making a swirling motion before letting both of his arms drop limply on the ground. Jesus! It's like I just woke up from a really long bad dream. I hadn't been myself in so freaking long. Out of the corner of my vision, I can see Carl looking up at me. The same shit that was happening to Sydney after what happened to you. Fuck, I didn't see you do any of that shit until this week. I don't know, I just had bad dreams at first. Sometimes I just see the stuff in the dreams in the real world. I kind of just numbed myself to it. And Leo helped me keep my mind off things, I guess. He looks over to Carl. Then we went to college and it wasn't so bad. I stopped taking my medication and things felt a little better, I guess. Well, not great. I was still all hollow, but at least I wasn't seeing any of the demented crap at the end of my bed anymore. Chase takes a drink from his water bottle, cringing at the pain from each gulp. I don't know what to say. I was beginning to think I was going nuts, like I was seeing shit that wasn't real, but hearing him talk about it out loud. Just like Sydney, that weird look he had before looking upset or scared or doing some real heinous shit. And Chase was doing it while ordering fucking brunch. Like, I'm sorry. Something's wrong with me, or was, I don't know. Guess, we can add that to the checklist of things to ask your aunt about. Chase begins to stand up groggily. What? The front door is pushed open. Jen is standing in the doorway. Guys, you should get out here. She spots Chase steadying himself against the desk, her eyes widening and her ears flicking back momentarily. Oh, Chase, you're here! And where are your clothes? Yeah, good question. There's spiders in them. Carl mutters. Okay, just get out here. Jenna heads back out. Chase pushes himself off the desk, beginning to walk forward like a zombie from one of those old VHS films we used to watch. Whoa, man. Don't you have like some spare touristy shirts and stuff around here somewhere? Do you seriously think that Echo that gets enough tourists to justify merchandise? I just need to get back to the motel. Clinic first. The otter stumbles a bit, and though some hesitation, Carl and I take him by each shoulder and help him to the door. I make sure to grab my rifle, though. You still didn't answer my question. Chase says nothing. We exit City Hall and are instantly greeted by a slew of faces. This is a load of fresh shit, you know that? Oh, we got a bat. And we got Kutsu here too, holy shit. What do you mean when you say we can't leave? Everyone seems to be gathered around the front entrance, the headlights from half a dozen cars lighting up as we exit. I didn't think that we'd see Kutsu again, holy shit. Most eyes are on Auntie. The air has like this sort of smoky tinge to it, like someone's cooking something. I wonder if it's from the fire I saw earlier. Y'all came here because you wanted answers. Now you're gonna listen to them or not? I recognize most of the people in the crowd. Janice, Duke, Kutsu, Micah, Heather, Mark, and shit, about a dozen more. Some of them look downright terrified. Others... Was that? That was the actual audio. Ugh, I don't like that. I sounded like someone was like putting a cup right next to my ear. Unless if I'm starting to hear things. Others like Micah, the klepto shithead from Titanus Alley, I don't know how to pronounce that, looks just pissed, agitated by whatever the hell Auntie is saying. I can see Duke, the old widower who lives next to Leo, somewhere back by his car. He's not looking at my aunt anymore. He's fixated on Chase with a sort of 1,000-yard stare. In the back of the crowd, I see the lumbering figure of Leo. At the sight of us, he pushes his way through. Chase! Leo stops rubbing the back of his head and looks off to the side as he notes the otter's state of undress. You're back, and you're naked. Chase has this weird sort of look on his face, like he's never seen Leo before in his life. Like this is some incredibly awkward encounter with a stranger. Yeah, Black Widow bit me. And that made you naked? Leo turns, looking to me suspiciously. Fuck you, I didn't do it. God, I have no time for this shit anymore. Leo's brow furrows. I keep expecting him to jolt out at his arm and slug me, but he just looks tired and confused. I sat in a nest of a whole bunch of them and they got everywhere. It's awful, are you alright? Leo brings his large paw to Chase's shoulder. Chase flinches and the wolf quickly releases his grasp, giving the otter a quizzical look. I'm okay. Well, not really, but you know. He rubs the bite area on his neck, biting his cheek as he stares at the gravel between his feet. I don't know, Chase. We need to get you to a doctor. But I have to ask, why'd you run off earlier? I didn't mean to. I just did. Chase, that doesn't make any sense, yeah? Auntie begins to speak up again. Let's talk plain like. Most of you are seeing things. Bad things. And some folk around here have started acting real strange. More so than the usual suspects on their bouts with the happy juice. And nobody's getting any tower or satellite signals for phones and internet. Landline's fuzzy too. A couple of people nod. Micah is now looking over his shoulder, seemingly unfocused on what Auntie's saying. Mario tried to head off to Peyton to see if the county offices knew what was going on. He got about as far as the Flynn turnoff before he found himself on the old Route 65 heading back into town. He tells me he tried 3 times to get through. No luck. Now I would have slapped him on the head with a roll of newspaper and told him to take his clowning to the circus. If I hadn't heard the same sort of thing from my grandpa decades ago. Folk traveling in buggies trying to escape the madness of this town, but they got snared in one hell of a web. If you've been thinking your dreams have been getting real queer as of late, you ain't alone. It's getting worse. Honestly, I was packing my bags to get out before it hit. I wasn't ready to leave. I remember telling Auntie I wanted to stay for Carl's interview, but I also wanted to see if I could get to the bottom of shit with TJ too. So you saying there's no way out? That we're in what, like an inescapable bubble? Sweetheart, it's like the tide. It goes in, it's pulled out. And sometimes it pulls stuff with it. My grandpa, God rest his soul, told me it was attracted to the uncouthness of man, the ears and desires with which we cannot unshackle ourselves. Simple sin. A mournful look crosses her face as she takes a deep breath. Mark. She looks over to the horned toad, our town's treasurer. He's standing by his black 4-door SUV. I always made fun of him for buying it. Black cars in the desert ain't a good mix unless you're keen on baking. He reaches into the car and pulls out a lumpy something wrapped in a flamboyantly colored beach towel. I recognize the faded logo in the corners, one from Southwestern Adventures. An old souvenir, maybe. Mark herks as he steps in front of the mayor with it setting out on the ground. The first thing I see are the feet sticking out of the end. Someone in the back, Heather I think, screams. It's a banshee-like wail as Mark pulls back the fabric. No! Keith! It's it's not Keith. At first, it's difficult to tell exactly what I'm looking at, but after a few moments I can see clearly who it is. Scythe? Mutt, I am not cute. We've been over this. I am not cute, and it never will be. Oh, that's right. Well, why are you messaging? There, Telegram is closed. Okay, but partly that's my bad, because I usually should have Telegram closed whenever I'm doing streams. Immediately do it. Listen, I'm sorry, okay? Listen, I'm sorry that I forget to close it. At first, it's difficult to tell exactly. Oh, shit, I already read it. I am not cute, but I am a dweeb. Okay. Holy shit, I was not expecting to see that. That's Salem. Keith! Jesus. No. TJ begins to sob, his terrified sniffles mixing in with Heather's confused, shrill cries. The boar is covered in lacerations, most of which are on his face. 2 swipes of whatever cut him seem to have torn his eyes and part of his snout out. Wait, what? Wait. Oh, shit. Oh, I don't like that at all. I always thought when someone had their eyes taken out, it would just be black holes inside, but it's pink. It's like I'm looking into the guy's brain. I feel like I'm gonna hurl. What happened to him? He tried to leave. Yeah, but how did that happen? The raccoon who was up to this point, as I've never seen anything but the strong silent type, looks shaken up bad. He clutches his forehead with a paw, shaking his head. God, for a second, he looked like somebody else. I barely know Salem. He's a recent move-in who originally squatted on a vacant land in an RV until the landowner started making him pay to live there. He kept to himself, never even said 2 words to the guy. That's an accomplishment when you're stuck in a town with just about 50 people living here. Mark tells me that the 3rd time he tried to leave, he just saw him laying there on the side of the road next to his RV, dead as a doorknob. So to answer your question, coon boy, I don't know. These things always end, but there's no clear definition of when or how. I advise, as I do in all trying times, to turn to the higher powers. Pray and repent as you may. There's a shocked silence from those present. Daxon keeps shaking his head. Jenna tries her phone again. Micah stares off into the dark in the direction of the highway. I know how to make the vision stop. The weasel steps up to Auntie, though he's not looking at her. Yeah? What's your proposal, Duke? Hey, Madeline. How's it going? Welcome on in. The Blep welcomes you. Hope you're having an awesome evening. You just missed a very horrific scene that thankfully you do not have to see. But welcome on in. The Blep welcomes you. Ugh, Jesus, I'm still getting chills from that. That is... Ugh. That's a horrifying picture and a horrifying... Ugh. Points a pink finger towards Chase. We stop him. Chase sort of half blinks, his bloodshot eyes aimed at all unfocused like at the scruffy weasel. What? I can't discern who that voice is coming from. This has all happened before. He looks toward Auntie, who nods inquisitively. And it's only gonna get worse. It happened to my granddaddy, my daddy, and now it's happening to me. Me and the rest of yous. Dale missing, Cynthia drove off into the desert. Clint and Jeremy are running around shooting and screaming at nothing. Thing is, we've all got something after us. Something bad. Won't let you leave when it starts. What's after you? The raspy voice bat chimes up, still looking off into the desert, away from the crowd. Duke's quiet for a moment, rolling a handmade cigarette between his thumb and index finger. It's always triggered by something. Duke begins to pace, still pointing at Chase. I seen you here last week before all the rest of your little friends showed up. Late at night outside this house. He nods in Leo's direction, the wolf clasping Chase's shoulder protectively. Just standing there. For hours and hours. Didn't even need to be asleep to see ya. I'm decent. I had fun shooting at the range today, but my truck's headlight is broke. Oh, okay. How's you doing? I'm doing alright. We're doing a little bit of a late night stream of Echo. We haven't played this game in like 3 months. So, I actually forgot how much I'm intrigued by the story of this game. The writing of this is very good. But it's good to see ya, buddy, and I hope you get that headlight fixed soon. That last line rings strange. Duke is saying it as if it makes perfect sense. Chase's gaze shifts to his feet, his legs beginning to tremble. Hey, I'm not saying you did it or that you were wanted for all this to happen. He steps over Salem's body, approaching the otter. It's just that you gotta know something. Anything that we can use to stop this. Because anytime I ask big ol' Leo here, he just gets this glazed look in his eyes, telling me where I can stick my inquiries. That doesn't make sense. Well, someone told me that you would know. It's at this point that I see the black metallic shape sticking out at the back of the weasel's trousers. He's got a gun. Daxon flinches, seeing it too. Oh shit. He mutters, and I feel Carl step closer against me. What? Who? Someone I know! He yells, leaning in closer to Chase. Leo steps completely in front of him, his ears down with his fangs bared. It makes sense. Something bad happens, and if you don't fix it, it won't stop coming after you. Maybe for you. This VN looks interesting. Yes, it is a very, very, very well thought out VN. This VN took 5 years to develop, if I'm not mistaken, and it released in 2020, like as a completed VN. And they're still updating it today, too. So, like, yeah, it's crazy. Also, the storylines are also very long. We are on path 4 out of 5, so we are on Flynn's route. And then the last one, I believe, is Jenna's route. Yeah, Carl's route took us about 4 hours to do. Leo's, I forgot because I only remember doing Carl's story. I only remember that being 4 hours, but I think TJ's was the shortest with an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever. But yeah, very long storylines, but also very good writing. Leo's snarl turns into a tight, tepid frown. He looks unnerved, uneasy with Duke and what he's saying. This is all real timing with your friends showing up. So what happened, Chase? I don't know what you're talking about. Auntie exchanges a glance with Mark, then they both look to Chase, seemingly unconcerned that Duke is packing. Things are getting worse out here, and unless we do something, we're all gonna end up like young Salem. Duke's voice is dead and distant. He's right. Auntie's voice cuts through the air like a knife. Next thing I know, her and Mark are stepping up beside Duke. Flynn, come here. My heart lurches at hearing my name called, and I strain myself to keep a straight face. I try to not look at the body as I walk up, feeling my backside illuminated by a dozen headlights in the gaze of the crowd. You locked Chase in the reading room with all them spiders. Why? You what? Didn't know about the spiders at the time. I mumble. Flynn. She looks away for a moment. Okay. I'm pretty sure he killed Sydney. I clutch my head, the blood in my veins feeling cold. As if the gravel beneath my feet is starting to turn to quicksand. My mouth moves as to say more, but I manage to keep it shut. This just makes the pain worse. What the fuck is happening? I can see Jenna covering her face with both paws, seemingly in disbelief that this is really happening. There's a few murmurs from the gathering. Micah looks back at us, seemingly distracted from whatever there was in the desert that he was staring at. You're talking about her little friend who drowned in the lake a decade ago? Yeah. Wow, kid. He clicks his tongue, shaking his head at the bed drag like an otter. That's fucked up. Chase starts to look like TJ again, as if on the urge of breaking down into sobs. He seems to be almost alternating from angry, sad, and confused over and over again. This ain't right how you guys are handling this, yeah? Duke, Flynn, Mayor Lady, you really need to fuck off. We'll handle this. I don't reckon I'll believe that. Sid died like 10 years ago. This doesn't make any fucking sense. Well, this sort of murder happened before. My grandpappy lived in this whole thing and stayed in the town after. Yeah, that's right, it happened weeks after the body was found. Auntie rubs her thumb through her floral scarf, staring into the headlights of one of the old Jeeps. The one in the mines. The air got all electric and fuzzy. Folk went out of their heads. She never talked about any of this before. How do you know that? Brett gabbed about it a lot when you were a youngin', and even before you were born. Dad. The whole superstition was part of his justification for making a library and booking it. Well, that and one other reason. I try to ignore the last comment, still focusing on the increasingly tense stare down between Leo, Chase, and Duke. I'd heard Mom and Dad hated Echo, mainly the usual grumblings about godlessness. Any ailments that they had surely the fucking results of some latent sin. Point is, the ground beneath our feet is a tainted soil. Rotten, shaky loam. Duke interrupts, but Auntie doesn't seem to mind. Oh, hold on. There we go. Sorry about that. I had to bring my dogs in. But yes, this is Echo. This is the one with all the past trauma. And let me tell you, I'm like in on the story. Like, holy shit. She's just frowning now, looking to the crowd of people. Her scarf's come undone due to all the fidgeting, and all the old scars she has beneath are visible. Tattered scales replaced with pink flesh. It's more rotten in some places. Y'all know the ones. My grandpappy thought that was because they didn't catch the murderer and planted some seeds in the bad dirt. But that ain't true. Duke rubs a scab out along his forehead, squeezing his cigarette so hard that the ash starts pouring out the other side like toothpaste. They caught him all right, and everything was okay for a while after they found him and he was killed. The fuck does this have to do with Sydney? Duke continues, ignoring me. So I don't know what this is, if it's murder or guilt or not catching someone that did wrong. I shake my head. I can't believe this shit. Sid's not fucking haunting the town, you meth addict cunt. But it started when you got here, so you gotta forgive me for wondering if one of you did something bad. Oh, I couldn't play this one? Too many relatable things that kept happening. Yeah, I get that. For me, it's like, it's kind of perfect because I love psychological horror like this, where it just like mind fucks you. I love it. He was a fucking 9-year-old, and brought that guilt back to this poisoned land to grow the seeds again. Duke doesn't sound like himself at all, not even in his recently crazed self. Still though, I don't want to admit it, I start to have an idea of what Duke might be getting at. How this all fits into our history, and judging from the look on the gathered crowd's faces, the feeling appears mutual. There's murmured inquiries about what to do. Heather is quietly sobbing, asking a group of people who ignore her why no one is helping Keith. Genevieve Sanders, a retired mail carrier from Peyton, mentions something about lynching. Jenna's arms are crossed tight, her expression this sort of furrowed, indigent stare that slowly falters to upset confusion. TJ's next to her, one paw on her arm. I can barely hear him, but he keeps saying sorry over and over. Eo begins to tug at Chase, pulling him back in the direction of the van. The two begin to hurriedly walk before Auntie speaks up. Stop! I always had this niggling desire, this idea of getting justice for what happened. Sid deserved as much, but now I can't say I'm feeling any catharsis or joy. Just this hollow rumbling from my insides that this ain't right. This can't be how we fix shit. Carl has his head down now, the ram acting small despite his burly proportions. I just want to move beside him, tuck him under my arm, and fuck off far away from here. Get back over here. Leo shakes his head. We're not sticking around for your shitty speeches. We're leaving. Chase needs a doctor. Come on, guys. He makes a beckoning motion to us. Jenna quickly shoves her phone into her purse, the Fennec visibly trying to not look at the body as she, TJ, Carl, and Dax head to the van. Just as I start to join them, I hear clicking noise to my side. Oh shit! The horrible noise is deafening. I clutch the sides of my head and crouch down. A brass shell casing falls and hits my leg. It's hot. Duke's pointing his pistol into the air. Our group stops in their tracks, TJ falling to the ground and covering his face. Heather is shrieking, screaming over and over again, then suddenly she stops. There's some flailing and movement for the group that was standing near her, like the dancing you'd see at raves. When I look again, I can't see her anymore. Micah's gone too. Him and a few others were scattered. I can faintly see the bat's silhouette in the distance, but sprinting into the desert. What the fuck, Duke? I scream at the weasel. Needed to get their attention. For the mayor, yeah? That's no fucking excuse! That shot could have come back down and killed somebody! Duke clutches his pistol limply in his grasp, seemingly uncaring of where he's pointing the loaded weapon as he twirls his wrist about. It's a bit late for that now. Folk have been hurt already, and they'll continue to get hurt till we stop this. I hear shouts of agreement from the remaining crowd. Auntie just nods and I can't help but give her a dumbfounded look. I clutch my repeater close. Spiders. Spiders got him. That's right. That right, Flynn? She points to Chase. Yeah, he sat in a nest of them. Duke? She holds up a finger, fast walking back into the office without another word. Duke watches over a group by the van and everyone is quiet. His pistol is aimed at the sky. After a minute, she returns with a piece of faded paper clutched in her hands. There's some old-timey writing on both sides of it. She holds it up to Mark and Duke. Mark uses his cell phone as a light as they begin to read, Duke lowering his gun. I can see Jenna moving by the edge of the fan. She's motioning toward me, then Duke. What does she want me to do, disarm him? One quick chop of the wrist, that'd do it, I guess. I'd have to drop my repeater, though. I don't really want to risk that, at least not yet. Surprisingly, Chase speaks up. What's it say? Boy, I think you know what it says. You were rooting through our stuff and plucking all these records Thursday. James Hendricks' notice of death. Carl visibly stiffens. Guess what killed him? Spiders. I step up, squinting at the paper. It's a notice of death, alright, for reference in an estate transfer. It's for James Hendricks, who passed away in 1913. The cause of death is listed as poison infection. Hold on. The cause of death is listed as poison infection. They're emphasized. I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. Tarantula. A tarantula. Oh, that's right, because we saw a tarantula before it turned into a black widow for Chase in that room. Chase shifts uncomfortably. Chase's ass got planted on by some black widows. And what does Carl's old great whatever have to do with this? James Hendricks, the first, was a notorious sodomite like Chase. I sigh. What? You say he was looking at this the other day? He's working on a school project. Hell, that's why he's here. So he claimed. You sure about that? Auntie seems to pry at my own niggling doubt. I look back at the pathetic looking otter. He looks to me. And then Dax steps up. Hey, he stops just short of the body on the ground. Daxton straightens his posture, folding his hands behind his back. Mr. Duke, I think you're making a lot of really interesting headway into how we can solve all this. You know, just much better than just hiding out in our houses from a rampant chaos and the like. But, Salem here, he uneasily gestures toward the corpse on the towel, the boar's hollow eye socket still staring at the stars above. Whatever got him, I think stopping / avoiding, that should be our priority number one. Cause I mean, I've only known Chase about like half a week, but he doesn't seem like the sort of to be capable of all this. Kid, I've known Chase all my life and I reckon something similar. But at the end of the day, Chase didn't do this. It's what Chase did that did this. This town needs justice. Hell, that little Sydney kid needs justice. I'm gonna save all y'all. Make it so that she leaves me alone for once and for all. Who leaves you alone? Duke doesn't respond, instead raising his pistol. I can't tell who he's aiming at, his paw is shaky. I need to do something. Jesus fuck. We can do nothing. I stand there, and I see Jenna beside the van looking at me pleadingly. Auntie's peering at me now, a strange look on her face. This isn't right, I should do something. My head is killing me, something's wrong. The worst possible fucking time. I grit my teeth, concentrating on what's really happening. Duke says something I can't quite make out, and Daxon stammers back a retort. I've had visions of Chase too, but nothing points toward that as a conclusion. Leo slides Chase behind him, the wolf's ears pinned to the side of his head. Oh. What happens if we... Despite the throbbing pain, I managed to pull up my gun and aim it at Duke. Drop it, fucker. Flynn! Let him die! Someone in the crowd yells. Fuck you! I ain't gonna kill him, Flynn. He just needs to stay put. The spider bites him, and that's his fate. And if he doesn't stay put, I'll make him stay put. The fuck you will. Put the gun down! Duke just stares ahead at the otter, pistol still raised. Daxon holds up his hands, ultimately stepping to the side and out of the line of fire. You don't need to do... I said drop it! Why would you fucking listen to me? Duke says nothing. Do it! I see the weasel exhale, traces of cigarette smoke leaving his nostrils and dissipating to the hazy air. Slowly his wrist goes limp and he lowers his arm to the side. I step over and knock the gun out of his paw. You're dooming us, kid, and your friend's gonna get away with murder. I scoff. The fuck he will, now shut up! We're leaving. Auntie moves over beside me, resting her hand on my shoulder. Flynn, you can't make this decision for everyone. There's something wrong with you. I can't believe you entertained this fucking meth head's proposal. I used to think you were a good person, you know? But fuck that. Which trials it is. I spit it on the ground. Auntie lowers her head and begins to fidget with her scarf, her gaze shifting downcast. You used to think us Moors were immune to all this sordid business, but I don't think you are. Not anymore. Be careful, Flynn. She turns, walking back toward Mark, who's busy rewrapping Salem's body and bringing him inside. It's rare to see her look so uneasy, try to run a shit town like Echo. You get a thick skin for that shit crumbling around you, but nothing like this. Leo quickly helps Chase into the van, and the rest of the gang follows. Oh, now it's Sunday. Excuse me? Hold on. What was that? Oh, that was the fucking monster. That was the red freaking monster that we saw. Ew, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I steer into the rearview mirror, watching for any signs of taillights in our wake. Leo's driving, of course. Carl's feeling woozy after everything that happened. I wish I was sitting back in the van with him, but unfortunately my legs are too long. That and Leo's van is clearly not designed for folks with thick tails, so I gotta stick my cheeks straddling to the edge to make room. He's sitting in between Jenna and TJ, with Dax and Chase in the back. There's been some chatter about what happened and what's bullshit and not bullshit. TJ is the only one who's been quiet, so the only thing is for certain. With everything that's happened, everyone seems pretty focused on getting out of town. Leo doesn't floor it like I expected him to, but we move down the bend of the mountain and through the town speedily enough. I see Jenna looking out of her town window intently, and I can only imagine it's to see if she can spot Jeremy, maybe even her mother. Dude, I don't feel too good. Chase got bit by a black widow and he's complaining less than you, Carl. Speaking of, How you holding up, Otter? Chase gives a half-hearted thumbs up, the mustard lid's forehead resting against the side of the window. I'll just puke on the floor if you have to. I don't think Leo's gonna stop. Carl leans over and puts his head between his knees, groaning. That gets TJ's attention, and he starts rubbing the ram's back slowly. Ugh, good thing smoothies probably aren't too bad on the way out. TJ frowns. I turned the dial on the radio, but like the cell phone signal, I'm not getting anything. For now, I just turn up the AC and aim it toward my face. My head's still throbbing up a storm. Feels like a dream, doesn't it? Leo speaks softly, too quiet for anyone behind us to hear. I wouldn't know. You locked Chase in a spider-infested room, then lied to us about it. I sighed, crossing my forearms over the dashboard and leaning my face into them. I'm not in the mood for this shit, Leo. And then you risked your life to save him. Like, with a gun and everything. Straight out of a scene in those westerns we used to watch. And Peyton Axe's channel, remember? The scooter guy back there reminded me of Deputy Jack from Tumbleweed Armadillo with his whole speech. I craned my head up a little, raising a brow at the wolf. He seems pretty focused on the road. Daxon and Chase are muttering about something in the back of the van, but I can't make any of it out. But why? I mean, you could have finally gotten your revenge or whatever, yeah? It's hard to read the big wolf's expression. He's certainly different than his previous bullshit persona as the cheery spring break patriarch. He seems old, way older than he actually is. Fucking hell, Leo, I don't want Chase dead. My tone comes out more tired and exasperated than genuinely angry. I just want the truth. Leo lets out a large breath through his nostrils and slightly nods. Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even think about Sydney when I set this all up, you know? Hey Sonic, how's it going? Welcome on in. The Blep welcomes you. Hope you're having an awesome evening. And welcome to our little story of Echo. Of course you did it. Leo was never really one to dwell much on Sid's death beyond saying that he'd protect the rest of us because of what happened. Hey, that's good to hear, buddy. Well, welcome on in. Basically said the shit was fucked up enough already, so you might as well try to stay positive and cheers with what you've got now. What he had was otter ass, so I'm sure that made it easier. There was a long pause. And hmm? I rubbed the back of my frilled head. Never mind, nothing. Uh-huh. Another long silence. Dax gives Chase a bottle of water and Carl starts to play a game on his phone. A few minutes later, we're already passing the lake. Huh. So it's Sunday already? Like Sunday morning? That's what the clock says. What a fucking day. I don't say anything in response. We never got to ask Flynn's aunt about the thing. We could always go back and ask. What? No, I just... He's kidding, TJ. Oh. The Link stares at the space between his knees. Do you actually think she knows anything about it, Flynn? I don't know. She and Mark knew well enough about what happened with that body, though. Carl shivers and puts his head back down while TJ continues to rub his back. A few minutes of silence go by before Carl speaks up again. Feels kinda nice. Reminds me of my mom. Yeah, actually my mom did it too. Thought it might help. Hey, I love you, just so you know. All of you guys. I'm glad we're getting out of here. Fuck it, I'm going back to Pueblo. I raise a brow ridge at the ram. And I'm taking you with me. He points a thick finger toward me, leaning forward enough that he pokes me in the shoulder. I restrain a smile instead of letting out an idle grunt. Me? College? What a thought. The idea of being around guys my age and Carl? I'm not even sure what the hell I'd major in. Definitely not fucking police-y. Police-y. I squeeze my wrist, trying to refocus. I love you too, Carl, and everyone else. You too, Captain Daxton. Captain? Oh, I was promoted. Cool. Daxton seems well distracted. Oh, while watching Chase stare at his own fingertips. Yeah. Chase affirms his love for everyone with a groggy monotone. Jenna glances back at them before turning her attention out to her window. Leo doesn't say anything from the front, his focus solely on the road ahead of him. Are we at the clinic yet? Still about 20 minutes out. I watch the desert whip by us for the first time, feeling somewhat safe as the town disappears behind us. But of course it doesn't last long. What's that, on the side of the road there? Hmm? Leo turns his head in the direction of something on the curb up ahead. We all do. What is that? Oh my gosh. TJ covers his mouth. Carl sits up straight, trying to see. Leo slows down as we pass. There's Chase's car, all of his windows shattered. And there's Duke lying a dozen feet away from the open door of the driver's side. They're crouching over him is something I can't explain. Oh. Oh, I don't like that at all. Okay, hairless body and limbs long. Way too long. The head comes up and all I see are 3 holes and blood. TJ screams next to me and Leo shouts something before stepping on the gas, slamming me back into my seat. I tried to look back, but whatever it was gone. At least it was gone from where I was, because I see something move next to my window and I turn to face it. And it stares back at me. But only for a moment. That thing, whatever the fuck it is, disappears almost the instant I register that it's there. But only staring out into the blackness of the desert. Still, 3 holes, eyes and a mouth, blink back at me in sort of an after image before that too vanishes. Long limbs, but this isn't funny. I don't like that. It's him. TJ reaches up and grabs my arm, claws out. I'm too shocked to even pull away as TJ leans forward toward me, staring out into my window. At least I'm not the only one that saw it. TJ squeaks again when no one answers him. It's real? I don't know, some kind of animal maybe? I've never seen anything like that before. Duke could have had a disease, lots of its fur or something. Maybe Duke hit it. But it was walking! How was Duke here? He was way back at City Hall. Maybe it dragged him? Faster than our car? How did he get Chase's car? I still have my keys on me. That's impossible. Could have hotwired it. I don't know, man. TJ leans back, looping his arm around Carl's, and I can feel him shaking. I look over my shoulder through the back window. Jesus fuck, just like Dax described. There! We've all seen it! It's... I remember, but I don't remember it ever moving that fast. Or with, blood. Jenna wrings her paws together, squeaking quietly. Her tone is thoughtful and worried, as if she's trying to rationalize this all to herself. Fuck, that's what got Salem, isn't it? Jesus, don't take your fucking foot off the gas, Leo. Leo doesn't respond, staring hard ahead. He's squeezing on the wheel so hard it looks like it's bending. I pull back the hammer on the repeater, holding the rifle across my chest with the barrel pointed toward the window. I remember Duke's pistol that I stowed in the car door holder earlier. I grab it and toss it in the back seat. Jenna grabs it without hesitation, aiming it at the opposite side. Oh, this is freaking nuts. At this point, Chase's car is a good distance away, only visible because of the headlights are still on, a streak of light fading out across the desert. Duke's dead, isn't he? Whoa. Some dry retching noises followed by heavy splattering sounds cuts me off. Carl is hunched over in his seat, head between his legs. It isn't hard to figure out what just happened, especially from when the smell hits me. Oh my gosh, Carl! TJ looks torn between blanching away and comforting the ram. Carl comes back up, looking like he's about to say something before diving forward again. Long limb, I'm fast as a lost boy coming for your knees. No, I don't like it. I don't like that at all. Me no likey. Me no likey one bit. A much louder retch, followed by a much quieter plopping sound follows. I grimace, feeling my own stomach roll. God. Daxon's looking up at them, a paw up his nose. You okay, man? Carl keeps his head down a while longer, his fingers twisting into the fabric of his shorts. TJ tentatively rubs his back. I would have done it out the window. I don't want to open any windows now, though. It's okay. Leo, are there any napkins up there? Leo, who's been silent up until now, remains silent. He's staring at the windshield hard, paws up the wheels in a death grip. Chase, meanwhile, is clutching at his chest, his eyes are red and bleary. He leans forward, and the sound of something wet hitting the fabric floor mat is audible throughout the cabin. Chase's puke sounds much less wet than Carl's. The wretches are more grotesque. I can practically feel the bile in my own esophagus. I'll make horror funny any chance I get. Ew, okay, so that has painted a very... Well, now that we've actually seen it... Ew, I don't like it. I hate it when shit looks like that. Daxon stops what he's doing and holds Chase. Oh, fuck. The otter manages to exclaim in between the bouts of puking. Oh, drink some water. During all this, I'm still glancing out the windows. Not head on though, because I'm honestly fucking terrified I'm gonna look straight into those eyes again. We drive in silence for the next 5 minutes with no creature in sight, thankfully. But I don't know what to think right now. There's no way what I saw was some animal like Carl implied. The way it moved, the way it was crouched, and most of all, its face. I've never seen anything like it. At least, that's not a Halloween costume. Maybe one of the locals dressed up in a costume or something? Some sort of shitty prank net? Is this some sort of shitty prank show? Like the one on Science Fiction Channel? But then how the fuck did it keep up with the car? We were going that fast. Were we going that fast? Leo did slow down a little. I keep these thoughts to myself. Everyone looks freaked out enough without any more speculation. I feel trapped, like I'm stuck in a metal box that I can barely move, and with a gun I can't aim. If this thing can outrip at cars, nothing is safe. I just have to focus. We're on our way out, and soon I'll be in a safe clinic, police station, or an applauding audience surrounded by a shit ton of cameras. If that's the latter, I'm decking the first fucker that comes out with a microphone. I try not to think about Duke by the car, Salim on the blanket, my aunt out there trying to keep everyone safe. With that thing? I shake my head, trying to watch for any sign of movement. Oh, so there's two endings to this. I forgot. You okay, Chase? TJ's arm is still around Carl's, the lynx craning his neck peer to peer at the hunched over otter. I've never been so freaking scared in my life, but yeah, I'm okay. Chase grasps at his throat and neck, wincing heavily. It's getting harder to breathe. Hold on, Chase. No. How can... What? The car lurches as Leo slows us down again. I squint my eyes, attempting to peer past the glare of the headlights reach into the darkness beyond. But I don't see anything, just the road stretching ahead of us. From the back seat, Chase's croaking, high-pitched voice pipes up. What's wrong? Leo's quiet for a moment. His face is blank, his ears twitching. I don't... Leo turns in his seat, looking out the passenger window than his own. I'm heading the right way, right? Why did we stop? TJ sounds panicked, like the lynx turned around in his seat as he stares out the back window. First time I've seen him in a car without his seatbelt on. Leo goes silent. I look up before him and crossing his red and white muzzle. He's looking to the mountains that surround Echo Canyon. We aren't. Look. Jenna scoots forward to the edge of her seat, pointing to something outside. The hills. Those were on our right side a while ago. We must have looped around. But we've been going straight this whole time. The only way we'd be going back this way is if we got turned around when we hit the main highway. But we haven't hit the main highway, have we? Chase presses his furry cheek against the window, his tired eyes bulging. What the goddamn... He trails off. So we just seamlessly transitioned from going one way to the other without any of us noticing? No, Leo must have turned around that side of the road There's no way, While trying to lean forward to get a better look at the mountains, Leo's elbow pushes down on the horn. TJ gasps, digging his claws into the fabric seat. Please don't do that. It was an accident, I swear. Okay, just let's be quiet, okay? We saved that one part, right? Yes, we did. Leo, we're going the wrong way. Jenna speaks as calmly as possible, clearly aware that the tension in here is getting increasingly high. Leo brings the car to a hard stop, throwing me forward into the seatbelt, then does a quick three-point turn, shoving me right, then left, before I'm smacked back into the seat as Leo accelerates again. I hear a soft thunk of flesh on glass, then a groan from the back. Chase is rubbing his face with a sore-looking nose. Injury upon injury. Sorry, Chase. You okay? No. He responds back hoarsely, sinking back further into the scratchy fabric of his seat. Oh, same. Daxton does a curt nod. The wolf clutches the steering wheel with an iron grip. We both stare into the windshield, eyes to the horizon. Nobody says anything for a while. Even in the silence, I can feel the growing unease from those behind us, the trembling of muscles and clicking of claws. I try to block it out just to focus on what's watching ahead. All things considered, it's not so bad as long as I can keep the fear from clouding my mind. That could be said about most things in my life. Just have to keep driving to get out of this fucking town. Can't get sidetracked again, especially with that fucking eyeless thing around. Wonder if I heard the horn earlier. I focus on the mountains now, making sure that they don't disappear. I slip up and down gently under the moonlight, speckled with the dark spots of rock and vegetation. Vaguely, I remember back when I was younger, leading Sydney around the bend and entertaining his explorer fantasies. I brought my BB gun and he'd run around shooting at the mesquite trees and looking for signs of lost native treasure. I told him that the pioneers thought there was a city of gold buried beneath the mountain topsoil, waiting to be unearthed. He fucking loved that, even brought a little trench shovel too, as he put it, digging in his own mind. Pretty sure he thought that was the whole reason for Echo's old mine, to find the city and shit. It wasn't a complete lie either. The Haka tribe supposedly told the conquistador types that the treasures and riches were stored aplenty in the Mesa territory around here centuries ago. Of course, it was so they fuck off and bother their rivals instead of them, but the prospectors did eventually find gold in the mountains. All Sid ever found was some feldspar and alabaster quartz. He kept a whole collection. I blinked, staring out into the window as the mountains just disappeared, slipped down into nothing. I squinted, then I looked out Chase's window in the back. Sure enough, mountains. Leo? God damn it! Leo speeds up instead of turning around though. Dude, what are you doing? TJ's claws come out against my skin again as he gets that scared cat look in his eyes. Leo mumbles mostly to himself. There's no way this leads back to Echo. No way, yeah? Leo, slow down a little. Leo takes in a seething breath. Just trust me, okay? This is getting out of hand, but I, honest to God, don't have a fucking better idea. I'm gonna keep going until I see that car we passed. Judging by the silence, no one has any better ideas. Fuck knows I don't. Another minute of driving, more awkward silence then. Leo hisses through his teeth. Straight ahead of us, a sign. What? Out in the shit? Echo Mine, Danica entrance. But that's on the other side of town. I say this as if it cannot possibly be where we're at, though there is. I stand out at the 8 feet tall faded wood with that touristy Wild West font placard that the country commissioned a couple years ago. That was a lot of play on words in that sentence. That sign's only readable because our headlights were right on it. The original solar face lights had been destroyed by junkies a year ago. Leo thins his lips, driving right past it. The minutes pass and it becomes increasingly difficult to place exactly where we are. On this side of town I can see that smoke from earlier more clearly too. The smell like burnt charcoal seeps into the cabin through the AC. It's like a barbecue out there. Leo lets out a worried bit of laughter, though the wolf begins to pull off to the side of the road, only to flip around and go the other way again. Jenna lets out a strange sigh. It's laden with exasperation, but there's a slight quiver in her vocal cords. We keep going and more time passes. Daxon mutters something I can't quite make out to Carl, who's been oddly silent, his paws over his face. I catch Chase and look at me in the rearview mirror. Despite his shit with the spider bite, he looks more, well, animated than I've seen him in a long time. There's a lot less staring off into the distance and more active grimacing, muttered softcore swears and a darting gaze. I never realized how yellow his eyes are before. Were they always that bright? More time passes as we round a bend. Jenna crawls halfway onto the mid-seat console and points ahead. That's where Duke and Chase's car was. It's not there now. How can you tell? Jackson keeps craning his neck to see past me. The corner looks familiar, but where's the car? I remember that thing. It was a silhouette outlined against that group of pinyon trees by the guardrail. TJ makes a whining noise. I recognize it too. There's no broken glass, tire marks, or blood, though absolutely no remnant of the memory to be found. God, there's nothing there. Leah speaks softly as if talking to a child. It's unclear whether he's glad or upset that the grisly scene is straight up gone. But that doesn't make any sense. Oh, jeez. I look out the window. I'm just gonna watch the mountains. Let us know if they decide to flip around. He lets out a dry, terrified chuckle. Jenna returns to see her eyebrows scrunched. It's like we're stuck in some kind of loop. Jenna gives Daxon an inquisitive look, seemingly baffled anyone could find humor in this. What? That's just, well, nothing. Go on, we've got time apparently. Yeah, exactly, I mean... He exhales, shaking his head. In Adastra, Carl groans, his displeasure muffled by the pause over his face. Some kind of was always the go-to line of Captain Amicus whenever he encountered something he didn't quite understand. Daxton leans his head back, his bald noggin pushed into the headset. Some kind of alien transporter, some kind of time paradox, some kind of matter replicator, some kind of reproductive goo, and so on. And this helps us how? Well, I don't think it does. It was just sort of funny, I guess. It's like I'm in an episode with a group of wacky characters. Wacky, huh? Jenna responds, monotone as she returns her focus to the window. I'm just really glad I'm not alone. No one speaks after that. As the truck's engine pulls up another hill, I see something that comes to the view through a clearing of cacti. Oh, fuck me gently. Echo mind didn't. Oh, shit. No. TJ whines. Leo slows down more and more until we come to a gentle stop. We sit there in silence, staring at the faded text in the gravel trail that leads into the canyon head. Leo starts muttering darkly to himself, looking out the windows, then at the dashboard. I don't ask him if he's okay. I know what the answer is. TJ continues to make soft whimpering sounds like he's trying not to cry. It's okay, it's just dark and we're going off-road somehow. Leo whispers whatever comes to mind to explain what the fuck is happening. Carl still has his head down and his paws completely quiet. He could be asleep for all I know. I think it's about suggesting that maybe we should just wait it out until morning in the car. Then as I open my mouth I hear scratching noise toward the back of the car. TJ's ears perk up, which lets me know I'm not the only one. Instinctively, I turn around in my seat. Bits of glass fly in my face, and the next thing I know, I'm down in my seat, head down with my rifle raised toward the hole. Get down! Carl ducks, and Jenna and TJ lurch away to the respective sides of the car. TJ accidentally opening his car door and nearly tumbling out. Close the door! Close the door! Carl manages to get a hold of the links, trying to tug him back upright as TJ cries, flailing about. I can't get a good shot. Carl's big head bobbing up around as something moves outside toward the newly opened car door. A shot rings out, though not from me. A wide-eyed look Jenna, holding her smoking pistol up, and fires again. A sharp crack reverberates through the cabin once more. Carl, very much awake now, slams TJ's door shut and screams at Leo. Go! 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 Leo's already on it, and I feel the car jolt forward. And I'm bouncing up and down the seat as we go off-road, Leo not bothering with the 3-point turn this time around, instead of going with a full U-turn. We're back on the asphalt and speeding down the road when I feel it's safe enough to raise my head back up and look out the window. For a moment I'm terrified I'm going to find that thing crouched on the trunk staring in at us, but instead all I see is a giant hole through the back window, the remaining glass jagged. Oh god, are you guys okay? Daxton looks back and forth between us and the road behind the van. Chase meanwhile looks like he's about to throw up again. His muscular features are scrunched in a tight grimace as he presses himself against the seat. I am not cute Snowy, but welcome on in. We are getting chased by a fucking monster right now, so welcome on in. I sit up fully, keeping my sights trained on the back. Yeah! I yell at him over the sound of the car and the wind whistling around behind me. Jenna, did you get it? I don't know. Carl is bent over in his seat too, brushing glass from his hat and hoodie. I look at TJ, who's still crouched over in his own seat, covering his head. Bits of glass are scattered on the back of it, on the back end head. I pick up some of the pieces out from his front and his neck and lean over him. TJ, are you alright? TJ shudders and doesn't say anything as Jenna plucks some of the shards from under his collar. What was that? Daxton shouts back at us, staring through the window. Oh, fuck if I know. I don't want to think about what I actually think it was. I just need to be ready if it comes again. Leo keeps up the high speed, hitting some of the potholes hard enough that I'm worried we're going to get a flat. Then we'd be in some real deep shit. We drive for another 5 minutes in silence, and then a sign appears in front of us again. This time no one says anything and Leo doesn't bother turning around. I watch out my window as we fly past the historic path, but nothing happens. All I see is the tall piece of wood with the broken lights, and all I hear is the wind whipping around us. Jenna keeps a paw on TJ's back as he remains hunched over, the other still holding Duke's pistol. Carl sits quietly staring out his window. On the bright side, the bashed-in back window has diminished the smell of sick, but the smoke smell is stronger than ever. Sparse dots of light show up on the horizon, indicating where Echo is. That's when Leo speaks up. Alright, that's it. We're heading back to my place, shutting off all the lights, locking the doors, and eating toasted pastries until this all blows over. It's not the worst plan in the world for sure. Guess we have to. I'd rather not meet in the same fate as that guy in the blanket. Yeah, I'd reckon that's sound. I shift myself onto one knee in the seat, the old thing creaking under my weight. The story just keeps getting better and better, perfect to listen to while I pack. Oh wait, where are you going, manga? If you don't mind me asking. I have to hunch so low that my head isn't smushed against the ceiling. But I am glad that you are enjoying the story too, because so am I. I just have to pray that Leo doesn't hit any sudden big bumps. There's a sinking feeling in my stomach at the thought of going back to Echo. Part of me wonders whether Duke and Chase's car is still there, and would just imagine the whole grizzly scene. Oh shit, wait, you can see it. See, like, right there in the middle. I stare at my window watching the hills move slowly under the moonlights returning to Lake Emma Road. Oh wait, no wait, this was in Leo's route too! I just remembered. This is also in Leo's route. Maybe taking one of the mountain roads out of town would be worth it, whether we'd have enough gas when it happens. Oh, a crouched figure sits in the peak of a hill just about 50 feet from where we are. I squint at it, just barely able to make out what looks like shoulders and a head hunched up under the light of the moon. Oh shit. I'm directly across from the thing when I open my mouth. But I'm barely able to make a sound when it moves. It dashes down the hill in the blink of an eye, covering the distance between it and our car in a matter of 2 seconds. One moment I'm staring at a tiny black figure, and the next it's right up against the car, smashing into the side with my jaw and Jenna's. My head smacks into the glass and I see a flash of white. At the same time I hear Jenna shout at us to hold on. TJ screams and Carl yells. The lake. I watch as water begins to pull in through the broken window. The jagged glass carried in with the flow. Van is already halfway submerged. We crashed in the fucking lake. How can that be? We were nowhere near it. The water is shockingly cold and rising up to my knees. TJ yelps something incomprehensible. I see Leo thrashing with his seatbelt, trying to get it unbuckled as the car's battery shorts out and the cabin lights go dark. Going to Utah road trip style, so... Oh, okay. Well, have fun. I hope that you have fun in Utah. Oh, who did the follow? Mega Bottom 420. Welcome on in, the Blep welcomes you. Why do I feel like that's a direct attack to me? Which one of you did this? Well, welcome on in, the Blep welcomes you. Carl! The hyperventilating ram splashes out behind. I can't open my door! I can hear the sound of door handles being yanked. I grab my own, press the unlock button, and push outward, but the pressure of the water is too much. It doesn't budge. I try to wrangle my rifle up to butt the glass, but my seat got pushed up too far in the impact. I can barely move with my chest pushed up against the dashboard. Straining to wriggle free, I end up scraping my head along the roof. Ah, piece of shit! God damn my stupid lanky ass. Carl, use your head. I don't know what to do, dude. The horns, do the ram thing. I realize what Daxton's trying to say. Fucking species features. Go, Carl. Okay. There's a shuffling of movement followed by a hard slam. Glass shatters and more water comes rushing in. There's a flurry of movement out my windows. First Jenna, then Carl, then TJ go through the window. Soon the water's up to nostrils and my blood goes cold. I remember my uncle telling me something after we watched a movie with scenes like this. Till the pressure is equalized, you can't open the door. It doesn't stop me from retching onto the handle, regardless. I push my mom up to the roof and take a large breath before being fully submerged. The metal underbelly of the van scrapes against the rocks of the lake floor, which makes a downright horrifying sound underwater. One hard push, my door finally opens and I begin to squeeze my way out. I look over my shoulder, seeing the faint outline of rust covered in the rust-colored fur in the back of the van. Leo seemingly trying to get chase. My lungs begin to burn and I realize I can't see the surface. I kick my legs trying to push myself off the slimy lake bed. The pressure on my eardrums are like drills pushing into my skull. Seconds pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And finally I breach the surface. After a moment the water splashes and Chase and Leo emerge from the depths. Leo, I'm a fucking otter. I'm fine. Guys. Carl pants, the ram appearing to be clutching one paw to TJ's shoulder to keep him afloat. He can't really swim well thanks to his hooves. TJ looks to be struggling to keep their chins both above the waterline. Where's Dude Man? What? Daxton! I don't know, did anyone see where that thing went? We need to get out of the water. It can be in here with us. I know it. TJ's voice sounds like a mix of whisper and a shout. Please! His voice cracks like a 12-year-old as he stutters from a mixture of the cold water and shock. I look around the mass of bobbing heads that surround me, but neither Daxton or whatever attacked us is anywhere in sight. In fact, land is like 100 yards away? How in the fuck? Daxton! Dax! Carl, you need to stop yelling. Jenna's tone is hushed but firm, the wet fennec looking like soggy mop in the moonlight. I notice the glint of steel and realize she's holding Duke's gun. I left mine on the lake floor. TJ's right, we need to get to shore. There's a coldness to her voice, one controlled by fear. It takes her a moment to realize what she's saying, and a horrible contortion of worry and guilt crosses her soaked features. Chase, can you get him? I don't know, I just don't know. No way, you're in no condition. TJ looks down, opening his mouth to speak, but nothing but whispers escapes him. Fucking hell, he's still probably all the way down in the van. We gotta get him. He's a salamander, right? I know his kind can hold their breath a little longer than we can. Yeah, I don't know why the fuck he'd dawdle though. Chase, you're the only fucker here who can hold your breath that long. You can barely breathe as is, Flynn. I'll do it. Carl pushes himself off of TJ. I sink like a stone anyway. You see this fucking stupid? I swiftly doggy paddle my way over, grabbing the ram's arm and forcing it around my shoulder. Yeah, you fucking will. And how's your stone ass gonna get the both of you back up? I think I can... No way, man. Keep Chase upright for me, Flynn. The wolf rolls his shoulders forward and dives underwater. I quickly paddle over with Carl now clinging to my back. Chase takes a hold of my outstretched hand, nervously peering into the depths below. He accepts the help, but he seems faintly alright with keeping himself afloat. We float there in silence. I try to see what's going on beneath the waves, but the visibility is frankly ass soup. Leo's never really been a stellar swimmer. Fuck, Chase wasn't even that good either, beyond not needing to come up for air for a long time. Better than me, at least. When the water gets cold, I start shutting down, I guess. My muscles are already starting to feel rubber, and the urge for heat is strong. It's the worst at my feet, where the water's deepest and the moonlight can't reach. Fortunately, Carl and Chase are warm, and two clinging to me in silence. I can feel the ram's whiskered chin on the back of my neck, and Chase is shuddered, breathing on my shoulder. Where any other time, it might actually be comforting. But right now, I just hate the waiting. I hate not being able to do anything but tread water. I definitely hate not knowing what's out there in the hills, or how the fuck we even got in the middle of the damn lake. Auntie's always warned me that the world's more than what we perceive, that our ideas of how reality works are limited to what we have experienced prior. I ain't ever been stuck in a fucking road time loop, attacked by some pissed off electrical socket man, or launched me in the middle of the lake before. Everything just kind of feels unreal. A full minute has passed now. Fuck. He should have surfaced by now. This is Leo we're talking about. He wouldn't have come up for air if he saw that dude man was stuck down there. God, this is so stupid. Jenna, help TJ, help these two afloat. I'm going down. The fennec gives me a solemn looking nod. She begins to swim over to me with what seems like a geyser of water splashes up in front of us, followed by strained gasps of air. Daxton's blue eyes are wide, his slick form quivering in the wolf's arms. With a quick shove, the salamander jolts free, and he begins to swim to shore with a grasping panic. We all follow suit, though I quickly end up behind trying to support Carl and Chase. Daxton's the first to shore, then Jenna, TJ, Leo, and finally us. All of my adrenaline's completely tapped out at this point, and I fall to my knees in the sand. My arms are like jello. Thanks, Flynn. Chase uncoils himself from me, his voice wheezy and breaks into a raspy cough. Leo quickly hurries over, taking Chase under his arm. Easy, easy. We're safe now. The fuck we are. I peer around, even with my eyes having adjusted to the dark. I'm still having a hell of a time seeing beyond 20 yards or so. Jenna gives me a quick nod, holding up Duke's pistol to show me that she still has it. The stoked fennec would look comical if it were not for the distress of the situation. She must put so much conditioner to fur that keeps it fluffy. Yeah, thanks, dude. Carl proceeds to fall flat on his back, spread eagle in the sand, his hefty gut rising and falling. Yeah, well, Everyone okay at least? Hey, you didn't deserve. TJ mumbles something, the lynx still sitting in his arms around his knees, staring into the lake. He makes an effort to scramble back a few feet as the tide comes in. Jenna moves over beside him, hugging the lynx from the side. Shh, we just need to get back to Leo's. Leo lives on the outskirts of town by the old railway tracks. It's fairly isolated from the rest of the town. Going there is not the worst idea, but if that fucking thing could catch us in a van going 50... Fuck, I saw how it moved too, like a strobe light that was being turned off and on. It got closer with every pulse. That is still the plan. Leo affirms this with a nod, the wolf standing upright and ready. He's trying to not show his exhaustion and fear. TJ's just looking back at Chase now, and he's got a good shimmer in his eyes. He's crying again. Chase, this Sydney, how long did he? He's cut off before he can finish. Come on, TJ, we have to go. Chase looks over at him. His expression is harder to read. He's just weak. What? Everyone seems to be pretending they're not hearing the whimpering TJ, ushering him along. I rise up to my feet, nearly tripping over myself as I get used to solid ground again. Jenna pulls TJ up with her, trying to move the lynx along. I'll get you laid down here in a bit, Chase. I see what meds I've got in my cabinet. Leo also follows suit, helping Chase up in the shallow incline to the loamy soil, into a basin of dry grass. TJ peers over his shoulder. He's still looking at Chase. That's when I noticed the large rock with the sole pinyon tree overhanging it. There's little bullet holes on the side of the trunk. 22 caliber. I made those. I look around and right where Carl's laying, I see it. His blank stare, the blue eyes. He reminded me of a fish. This is where it happened. Carl sits upright, still clearly trying to catch his breath. At first he doesn't seem to understand, but then the realization hits him as he sees the tree. Oh shit. Carl rises up to his hooves, gawking at the tree. He's still. That thing I saw when I wrecked my car. The one that brought us here just now. It did for a reason, you know? I mean, I used to think my house was haunted. That it comes with the territory of big spooky mansions, but maybe it's us. Carl extends out his paws to his surroundings. I assume he means the whole group. I sigh, feeling rather vulnerable out in the open without my repeater. The hysteria, it's affecting the whole town. Everyone goes crazy in their own way. That's what my aunt always told me. And it even got her in the end. I wonder if she's okay, or if they found some other poor schmuck to blame the end times on. And why are we all seeing this? He gesticulates with the swirl of his hand to the tree and then the lake itself before letting his arm fall limply at his side. We're all here for a reason. We meet each other's gaze, and Crow suddenly lets out a small chuckle, rubbing the space between his horns. Unless I'm just imagining you seeing this. Let a puff of air rub my face. Ah, you're dreaming about me, huh? Seems like it. He shrugs. Next time, cut out the horror games before going to bed, yeah? I haven't seen a single zombie, it's bullshit. He looks toward the lake and sombers. Just kidding. Yeah. I'm not immediately sure what to say. In the distance, the group looks to be trudging through the dried up reeds and heading toward the train tracks down the pass. They're not waiting for us, which I guess is understandable, noting Chase's condition. Carl's watching them too, though he doesn't seem overly antsy to rejoin them. If Sid were, a ghost or a spirit or something, he wouldn't hurt us. Carl looks a bit surprised, shifting his attention back toward me. What makes you so sure? I can tell by the tone in Carl's voice that he doubts that. I remember Carl was really sensitive growing up, sheltered by his folks something fierce. He'd cry and eat and cry. It was basically a fat, spoiled TJ. It took me a while to figure him out, and for Sid, he didn't really have much grace with the sensitive types. He was cool. I know you two never got along, but he had things rough at home. He loved hanging out with the group and all. Hell, he thought TJ was cool. What? No way. Well, he never said it much as plain, like he just wanted to be him, I guess. Let's just save here. To believe God was real and he had a plan, to be good without having to try so hard, have folks who gave a shit about him. Dude, those last 6 months. I think back to Chase's words. I know, he wasn't himself. Not really. After a long pause, he shrugs. If you say so, I believe it. I was different then too, I guess. I was just a child and now I'm a man-child. I wave off the thought. At least Carl seems calmer now, or at least he's doing a good job at blocking out the terror. He's still got his tie on, though his shirt's completely soaked through and I can see his chest underneath when he faces the moonlight. Oh man, if this isn't real. Anything you want to say to not real me? Without hesitation, Carl speaks. Not a real big fan of fishing, dude. I furrow my brow at him aside before beginning to trudge through the sand after the others. I can't even see them now. They must have picked up the pace. Dude. I stop. His voice is softer and apologetic. But I like it when you take me out, even if it seems like I'm whining the whole time. There's no seems like about it. You do whine the whole time. A brief sad smile crosses his thick muzzle. You guys are still here? The salamander peers at us worriedly. Carl and I exchange glances, then nod. Good, that's good. I lost the group. I don't know where Leo's house is, and they kept walking faster, and then they just... Daxon toys with the zipper at the bottom of his hoodie. Must have gotten ahead of me. It's okay. I think we're supposed to be here. Right, dude? Carl looks to me. I cross my arms, unsure how confident I feel about this whole tapping into paranatural hunches. I don't know, it's just a feeling. The thing could have killed us easy, and like it didn't. Instead, we're here. Daxon gives Carl and I a nervous look, clearly putting a wide berth between him and the lake. Okay. He seems jittery, which I suppose is valid. Can't believe Leo actually rescued you. I grunt, trying to rub what feels like lake gunk out of my eyes. Why'd you even need saving? You're a natural water boy. Daxon rubs the back of his neck, his eyes flicking up as he tries to clearly recall whatever the fuck just happened to him. I was trying to save you. His tone is concerned, and the salamander peering at me as if afraid I might crumble in front of him. The hell you were? I got out of there on my own like 2 minutes before Leo dragged your slimy ass up from the depths. I thought I saw you drift off further down into the lake. You weren't moving. Anytime I tried to grab you, you just drifted further off, always with your back facing me. Eventually, I couldn't see you anymore. It was too dark. He rubs his hands over his biceps rapidly, trying to warm himself. He exhales, looking briefly at Carl, then back to me. I'm sorry. I don't really understand what happened. There's not a lot going on right now I can really explain. That makes 3 of us here. So what's here exactly? Well, where a friend died, or, well, where he drowned and later died in a hospital. Carl's bluntness takes even me off guard. There's no coldness in his tone, though, just the truth of it. That's terrifying. I'm sorry I asked. After a moment, he speaks again. And sorry for your loss. I feel like this past week I've just been a dingleberry on you guys. It's okay. Hey, it's cool here. Everyone goes quiet. Daxon occasionally looks over his shoulder to see if there's any sign of the group. But someone sent back for us, but no such luck. I'm starting to realize how exhausted I am. Coasting on adrenaline for an hour straight will really take the wind out of you. I lower myself first to a squat, then sit cross-legged in the sand. Despite all the water and vegetation, the air still feels kind of dry and smoky. I wonder where that fire is coming from. No response. I look over and Carl and Daxon are sitting together watching the tide. They look as tired as I am. What do you want to happen here? Carl eventually speaks, his tone droll and somewhat monotone. I look toward the tree with all the bullet holes. I just want to know what happened. They're gone. Oh, I spy the ass prints of Carl and Dax in the sand next to me, but they're nowhere in sight. I quickly rise to my feet, hesitant to call them out like nothing happened earlier. I move up to the top of the hill next to us, stepping through the dry grass. As I look around, I see no movement beyond the rolling tides of the waves, illuminated only by the silent, slight moonlight. Ah, fuck. My whole plan of waiting here for something to happen seemed a lot better when I had the others around. Now that I'm alone and unarmed, my gall is starting to fucking wane. They must have went to Leo's house. I mean, surely they fucking wake me up first, right? Did I even pass out? I feel like more like I just blinked it, then bam, gone. For a moment, it feels like something's tugging the back of my shirt. I turn, expecting to see the bulbous face of Carl at my side, but there's no one there. Hey assholes, where are you? I let out a harsh whisper directed at the desert scrub around me. Again, no response. I sigh, rubbing my palms over my face. There's no choice. I gotta get to Leo's. My gaze drifts back to the beach and the bullet-ridden pinyon tree. I'm struck with a strange sense of solace as if the spot would be somehow tranquil to me if the circumstances were different. For now, I take the stock of what's still in my soggy pockets. Keys, phone, dead as hell, probably fried, and an old granola bar wrapper. With a grunt, I make my way off to the beach and toward the rail tracks. I follow the familiar route, passing the occasional abandoned freighter car. It's been about 15 minutes, and so far no sight or sound of the gang or any other miscellaneous townfolk. I inadvertently find myself walking up top of the rails, balancing like I'm a kid again. Kinda keeps the edge off and softens the noise of my footsteps, though it ain't very time efficient. Feels like by now I should be able to see Leo's house, but so far nothing. It isn't until the tracks dead end perpendicular to the highway that I realize I'm being fucked with again. I stand at the edge of the pavement where the old bike lane had been overtaken by weeds, pavement crumbling to gravel. I hope that's spatially fucking shenanigans would end once we exited the van, but goddamn, why would it? You're going the right way. The back of my skull tingles and I cup hands over the sides of my head. That wasn't my goddamn thought. To Leo's? I ask aloud like the fucking loony I am. I wait. There's no response. I clench my fists to my sides. Fucking fuck this! I take off and a run down the road, keeping the power lines on my right. I run mindlessly, knowing damn well the nature of the loop, but trying not to think about it. I'm not usually the sort to do my running an echo on account of the centuries with the broken glass that lines the sides of the roads. That and the sight of the 6-7 guileless sprinting tends to naturally raise alarm, even with folk who already know who I am. Somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour passes and I see something ahead. I stop somewhere along the center line of the winding highway, the cracked asphalt feeling like it's chipping away at my already blistered heels. I stare at the faded red building. My truck is parked in the front for some reason. Why the fuck am I here? Right. Why do you come here? The voice in my head is clearer than before, like some harsh whisper coming from the inside of the back of my neck and slinking its way into my head. It almost feels like I thought the words myself. Is that a fucking clue? It's a mystery. My thought was rhetorical, and hearing a response so aptly takes me off guard. I clutch my throbbing head in both hands. I've gone full fucking schizo. When the weird shit's on the outside, it's one thing, but on the inside... I grimace, bracing myself against the gate in front of me. Gate? There's no gate in front of this place in real life. Take a closer look and see the entire place is fenced off, like some kind of highly security complex. A tarnished rebar gate is the only entrance point. My truck is just on the other side. It's only up about to my chest in terms of height, though it's got security spikes about every foot along the top. A single key lock is all that keeps each side of the gate together. It doesn't look too sturdy. I eye the truck through the bars and then to check to make sure I still have my keys in my pocket. Sure enough, I feel the familiar leather cigarro keychain between my fingers. Try the keys. Without even thinking, I take out my keys, flipping through the ones for City Hall. I grab the sides of the lock and push it into the key, twisting. To my surprise, I keep turning my wrist without resistance, and hear a soft click as the fastening point comes unlatched. I stare at the lock, feeling some fleeting sense of accomplishment. It soon falters as I note the lock being in there in the first place doesn't make a lick of sense. What in the fucking fuck? Also, the tip of my fingers that were grabbing the lock appear to have been stained black. Paint of some kind. Someone must have painted the lock recently, though the fence itself still looks pretty faded. I wipe my hands off the back of my pants and push open the gate. It only opens about 6 feet wide, nowhere near enough room to get my truck through. If I revved hard and gunned it, I could probably break through, though I've got a feeling that's not what I'm supposed to do. There's not really a fence in front of this place. This isn't fucking real, but I'm seeing it. So why am I seeing it? That's the fucking question, right? Duke's words from earlier come to mind. Thing is, we've all got something after us, something bad. We won't let you leave when it starts. What's after you? As if knowing what would fucking help right now. If not, just be even more confusing in the long run. I half expect the voice from earlier to speak again, but it's silent. Just a dull throb in the back of my head. The smart thing to do, the logical thing, as Dax would put it, would be to sit under a nice tree and just ride this out like a bad trip. Maybe get some sleep. That could fix it. Like turning a computer off and on again. I peer up at the sky. The red lights from the building make it seem like the sky itself was blood red, expanding to various pinkish hues towards the horizon. Fucking hell, I could get a wink in during this shit. Pounding in the back of my skull just keeps thudding away like a constant beat that reverberates through my head like a cavern. I step up to the door with the engraved bit of signage next to it. Here for the seed? That, of course, ain't what it usually says. The cheeky-ass winking smiley face is still there, though. I let out a short sigh. You fucking idiot. I turn the handle and pull, but it doesn't budge. I push next and still nothing. The handle shouldn't turn if it's locked. I know. I've been here before when it was. I push once more and I'm surprised that it gives, the door opening. I only leave it open a crack, still worried about whatever weirdness lies within. The first thing I notice is the burning smell, stronger than it was outside. It's hot as hell too. This place had a kitchen, I swear something would be overcooked in it. At first it's quiet, nothing but creaking wood beneath my feet. Then, music starts to play. I notice the boxy television set in the corner of the room is turned on. A grainy old cricket match on the screen. It's all very much the same from what I remember, except for Lone Otter sitting at the bar counter. He's holding something in his hand. An ice pack, and he's nursing some shitty import pale ale in his free paw. There's no one here. There's no one else in here but him, at least in the front area. Hey you! The Otter's posture stiffens. Yeah you! Are you real? What? He responds back, his tone exasperated and groggy. Confusion, that's a good sign, I guess. I step a little closer, the Otter using the bar counter to rotate himself in the swivel bar stool. He's decked out in a skull t-shirt. Oh. He seems dazed, squinting at me like I'm a bright light. Someone tuned up an orchestra in here? What? After a moment, something seems to click and his eyes widen suddenly. A long smile crossing his snouty muzzle. Motherfucker. He pushes himself to his feet, making his way towards the bar's haze. What are you doing here, you big-ass bitch? He claps his shoulder roughly, then pulls me into a tight hug. For an otter, he's got such a strong grip, and I actually irk aloud as he pats my back. The fuck? What the hell are you doing? After a moment, he pulls away, raising a shadowed brow beneath his hat. It's then that I notice his eyes. Baby blue, almost gray. Not a common color for his kind of otter. Bar music? Yeah! There's some bags under them, though, like he hasn't slept under some time. I was fixing to ask you the same thing. It's been dead all night. I wasn't expecting company. It's kind of unreal seeing you here like this, though. It's been... He huffs, astonished with a slight air of sheepishness. A while. He folds his arms out into his chest, the otter looking up at me from beneath the brim of his hat with a sort of wry expression. He seems happy to see me, and it's all so familiar. Wait a second. I blink. Jesus fuck, Sid? He lets out an amused noise, nodding. Yeah. Wait, don't you even try to tell me you're here by coincidence. He's an adult? Fucking 6 feet tall, I'd reckon. He's in shape too, rocking a full-on muscle t-shirt. I look around as if expecting to see Chase around a corner with a video camera and shit-eating grin. There's no one around but us, though. I'm sure there's a reason I'm here. He seems to perk up some, then doing a one-handed finger gun gesture my way while the other nurses an ice pack against his head. Knew it. I mean, I'm glad, yeah. Did you get my Christmas package? Wasn't sure you'd like it. I saw them in the Macy Mays thrift down in Elwyn. Haunted Hacienda, Deadly Love Rivals 2, Final Obsession, The Quiet Boy, Horse Sleuth, shitty B movies I got from the bargain bin. You know, the sort. Not a lot of plot to get in the way of the film. Plus I bundled them up with a bunch of Crossfire shooting mags. Oh yeah, also doing some jerky I got from a trade show after my match in Desert Springs. The jerky, super good. Hatch green chili flavored. You know where they grow that shit in the mass, right? World capital. I can't help but stare, absolutely flabbergasted. This is what he'd look like. When I don't immediately respond, his smile dissipates some. Maybe you didn't get it. Fucking delivery guys, right? Probably some weasel or something with a good smeller. He honks his own black nose. Penning for my jerky. Wait, am I fucking dreaming right now? Am I asleep or just tripping? The otter, Sydney, he's looking at me worriedly. You, want to sit down or something? I look around at the still empty bar. Facade or not, my legs are killing me. Sure. He motions towards some old wooden velvet bar stools next to a raised table in the corner. We take our seats. After Sydney grabs his drink, of course. Whoa. Okay, yeah, this shot is so fucking cool. Like, it's so threatening, but it's so cool. I don't know where the bartender went. He's usually in the back. I look toward the smoke room door. Nothing seems to have changed about it. He? Yeah, he. Big tiger fella? Only guy who works here as far as I know. He scrunches his brow, thinking for a moment. At least he got a sex and species change to become a bleached blonde bunny with the big bouncing tits? I don't think so. I grunt. What the hell is he talking about? He was into dressing up in chick panties, but I don't think we're talking about the same person. Or the same bar. Sid snarks, looking up at me a little wide-eyed. Thinking of one of your gay bars, right? The fuck are you talking about? This is the gayest bar in the state. If this were real, there'd be 20 fucking dudes reaming each other behind that door as we speak, including the bartender. I point to the familiar no smoking label door, my tone more firm now. Including you? His comment has a derisive, teasing tone. After a second, he blinks, looking back over his shoulder to see what I'm pointing at. You been porking guys who go to clown school? That's a goddamn tiny janitor's closet. It says so on the door. I squint at the door. For a brief fleeting moment, I can almost quite make out the little mop and bucket symbol posted in the center. But it's simply not there. I honestly don't know why I came here tonight. I guess I just had a good feeling about it in my gut. And by that I mean I saw the picture outside for the chipotle dusted beer nuts and my stomach got a boner. And then I guess it also worked out since I got to see you. He thrusts his arms toward me, trying to put it into a cheeky, sarcastic grin, like he's trying to play out the statement as he realizes how sappy it sounds. There, to my knowledge, has never been advertisements for spiced beer nuts posted outside the bar here. Jesus. We slowly lean back into my chair, letting out a long exhale. It's real good to see you too, more than you probably know. He opens his muzzle to speak again, but I cut him off. Sid, where do you think we are? He takes a swig from his beer, peering at me for a long moment before examining his surroundings. It's, you know, he snaps his fingers a few times. The beer nut place? He frowns, shifting his ice pack next to his noggin. Fuck, I'm not that sauce. I just hit my head real hard on the counter when I was bending over to pick up my phone. Shit, did we have plans to meet here? I genuinely don't fucking know now. I sure as fuck didn't. Ugh. I trail off for a moment, swallowing away the tight feeling in the back of my throat. I pull my phone from my pocket, turning it over to my hands. Still dead. How wasn't I ever expecting to see you again? His blue eyes widen, the otter giving me that same doe-eyed look he'd given me after we'd been hanging out, and I have to say go. And I say I have to go. He never wanted to go home. Look, I know after I bailed on you in the interview you set me up with, you were pretty pissed. Rightfully so too. You're fully justified, I get that. I know, I fucked up. What? I'm trying to get clean, I swear to shit. It's just so fucking hard, you know? You're on drugs? No, I mean, not right now. I'm sober as fuck. I look to the ale in his palm. Sans the booze? Ugh, look, all the other guys I wrestle with at the road shows though, they're all on the shit. Everyone's trying to bulk up and stuff so they actually get a pop when the crowd sees them. His tone is completely defensive, the otter looking me straight in the eyes, searching for any signs of doubt. There's this one guy, Codio Altaro, where he goes by the name of Rico Renaissance now. He's been getting booked as my rival as the bastard's up 25 pounds in 2 months. 25 fucking 5 pounds. No way in fuck is he doing that chicken breast and protein shakes. Wait, you're telling me you wrestle for a living? That would explain the muscle shirt and those tanky ass wristbands. Like, that's your actual goddamn job. Sydney leans back some, peering at me with that same searching look. Yeah, you used to go to my shows all the time. SFF, Sunday Fun Day fights, It's mainly fucking juggalos and shit now. We get paid in pennies and grass, but yeah, you know, it's a start. I'm tough. He sniffs, eyes drifting down to his arms on the sticky table surface. He doesn't seem grossed out by it. Ryan told me that they'd never clean up the front anymore. Then not to touch the underside of the table since their pack was solid. Two things, gum and cum. I noticed patchy areas in his fur near his inner elbows, and it takes me a moment to register. He's got fucking injection marks. He seems to see me staring and pulls back his arms. I gawk at him for a moment, Sidney bracing himself for whatever I'm about to say. It gives me a sinking feeling in my gut, but it makes sense. That shit Sid dealt with growing up, every sign was pointing toward him getting some extra chemical addiction down the road. It ain't just roids, is it? Yeah, well, you know me. I take some shit for, you know, the mental stuff. Mental stuff? I'm assuming it ain't prescription. You assume correctly. He speaks slowly, twiddling his thumbs in his lap, his eyes dancing from the bottle in front of him to me and back again. I'm not sure what to say. We just sort of sit there in awkward silence. I know you never really understood all the fucky stuff going on in my head. I just want to thank you for sticking around as long as you did. Can't say the same for everyone else. I'm not really an easy person to have the backup, especially when I'm one person 1 minute and another the next. I remember the shit Chase was talking about earlier, about the incident of the ice cream place in Pueblo. The way he just clicked and changed. He continued speaking, the otter shifting his thick tail listlessly behind him. Tell your roommate Dax thanks as well. I know y'all both really tried to get me a stable job at that print shop, but fuck, it would have never worked out. A schizo like me can't hold a position like that. Instead of Carl, Sidney was the one I would have been helping. I realize he's out there, and caught up in all this hysteria at me while I'm stuck in this place. This ain't real. The otter gives me another strange look. He clearly was expecting me to be acting much differently than I am now. Like he'd been preparing to speak to me for some time now and have completely derailed his plans to get the lot of shit that he wanted to say off his chest. You're not real, I'm just fucking dreaming right now. I thought you couldn't dream. You used to get annoyed as hell with me when I'd go off about the shit I dream about. Yeah, well, I am now. How would you even know what a dream was if you had one? After all, you look more like you just woke up. I shake my head, watching the blurry brown and black form in front of me shift from side to side. I keep expecting him to just not be there when my vision refocuses. Look, let me lay this shit out plain like. You can't be here. You're dead. You drowned over a decade ago, like in Lake Emma, I think. Chase did it. Or at least I think he did. Sidney looks uncomfortable, as if the slight semblance that all of this is some elaborate fun ruse. I'm pulling him on him is looking increasingly unlikely. Okay, well, that didn't happen, no nuts. And Chase? That twin couldn't hurt a fly. He sighs, rotating his half-empty bottle of pale on the table and smearing the ring of condensation that forms beneath it. I'm right fucking here and I just want to talk to you. His tone turns terse, hurt even. No, shitbird, you died. TJ saw two bodies with brown fur writhing in the water before you drowned. They all thought you died on your own somehow, like you passed out or some shit, but I knew better. I see a flicker of realization in Sidney's eyes, and again he shifts uncomfortably. I remember what you're talking about. But I'm not dead. I'm here, motherfucker. Feel me. He reaches across the table and takes my wrist, squeezing hard. It's like he's trying to give me an Indian burn like he's used to. I yank back my hand. Fuck off. He stares wide-eyed at me, like his mouth slightly agape. A moment passes before he speaks again. Why are you acting like this? Like you can't just fucking just enjoy goddamn company. Plus, you're so damn intense. You're not even high right now. This isn't fucking fair. I'm your goddamn best friend. Hell, you're like my gay, scaly brother. You can't fuck with me like this. This is too real. I quickly shake my head, closing my eyes. You're dealing with me right now, not the thing inside your head. And that's fucking becoming a rarer and rarer thing these days. So I'm just really trying to enjoy what time I've got. Just talk to me. I don't want to think. He trails off, staring down at his lap. Think about what? There it is. The change. The music seems to sound further and further away until it dissipates entirely. Huh. Maybe you're right, Flynn. What the fuck are you talking about? Sick heat, left forgotten in a conversation, began crawling up my back. Grabbing onto the table to help maintain my own posture, it's clear that something has shifted. The little bit of light in Sydney's eyes, just gone. 2 bodies. What? 2 bodies, right? I remember now. Man, that shit fucking sucked, didn't it? Sitting uncomfortably, the topic had reversed to what I had previously denied. 2 bodies, Sid. You're fucking dead. I saw you. I looked you in the face and I saw nothing. I gripped the edge of my seat, my gut feeling like it's twisting in on itself. It's like I'm standing in front of a roaring fireplace, the smell of smoke and fresh ash licking my nostrils, while the heat tickles my scales. Sydney's gone forever, and all that's left is this. Who are you? It feels different to me. That thing isn't Sydney. The thing that isn't Sydney looks around. This is not the smoke room. It looks like it, but not to me. The otter continues to stare off to the side before seeming to realize I asked a question. Sam, I am. While he speaks, he points towards you, across the table with both hands. There's something metal in his grasp, long and with a barbed end. I can't make out what it is exactly. I swallow and try to speak evenly. Who's Sam? A facsimile of a person that was. I'm daubing myself with ink so I never dry, but it smudges. Whoa, you see that in the background? My simulation. In here, I become we with you. Me? Alpacas, no. I'm not sure I heard that first part correctly. At first they came through the gate, then they came through the stars. There's a pause. Did they come for you? He looks at me and I feel my legs begin to shake. I tremble, wishing I was anywhere but here. The others before, they bounce, undulating in constant restless motion. The hollowed figure leaves, breathing heavily as he sways Sydney's body up and down. He stares at me with eyes that remind me of the fish Carl and I catch in the pond. But that's not what you want. You want the answers. After all, it's a bit late for love. And too still for lust. I just fucking need to know what happened to Sydney so that the hysteria stops and everyone else is safe again. That could help. But are you sure you really want to know? You can chase the truth until you're red in the face. The thing looks over Sid toward the smoke room door. What was once Sydney raises his arm to point at it with unnatural stuttering movement. It ebbs and flows like the tide. You can ride it. Each time the tide comes in, it's a little less of what it once was. Abstracted. It goes where the sorrow sprouts and takes it with what it can be before rolling back out. Some tides are particularly large. He waves a blurred paw at me, and again I can see the metal thing grasp in his palm. He seems to be looking at it and holds it in front of me. You burn them all down around you until only the truth remains. You needed the superfluous kindling, for those are only the lies that they tell the others, and eventually themselves. You'd make a good detective if you weren't marinating in your nepostic squalor. Unlovable, shameful, a sin to all who initially cared for you. Truly only belonging amongst the sawdust, semen, and ash. Thoughts drowned amidst the moaning and groaning of unfamiliar shadows. The only one who precisely knew you, who precisely loved you, ushered into the tide by those who you thought fondly of, and justice denied again and again and again. He presses the barred lip of the rod of into the table. There were 6, and now there are 5. The distorted otter is looking at the thing in his grasp as he says this. It's a fire poker. I hesitate to speak, my mouth feeling dry and my forked tongue caught between my teeth. Yeah, I get it, but what I just saw with Sydney, was that real? It could be. Somewhere in here. He seems to be referring to the poker. I reach for it, but my hand can't quite touch the metal. It phases right through it. The hollow thing just stares at me, watching my futile attempt. Slowly I rise to my feet, my legs like gelatin as I wobble some. manage to steadily steady myself with my tail, grasping the sticky tables for support. The distorted otter just watches me, somehow looking almost eager. With no small amount of trepidation, I begin approaching the smoke room door, the sound of crackling flames growing louder the closer I get. This has to be it. The alternative being doing nothing. Which, while real damn appealing, probably wouldn't stop what's going on outside. If that's how this works, that is. I grasp the handle. Fuck me. Many have. I stop looking back over my shoulder. The figure is leering closer now. Fuck you too. I turn back, face. As I turn back to face the door, I swear I see the shape smile. I turn the knob and step inside. The air is absolutely electric and I feel myself involuntarily shiver. I brace myself against the wood-sided wall, staring through the darkness. I'd never seen it this empty before, and I get the sensation that my gut that something terrible has happened here. Looking back, I don't think the shape followed me. I'm still here. God damn it, leave me alone! I feel my blood boil. Chill. I feel my blood chill, but I keep moving. Oh. Just ignore it, just ignore it. Just ignore it. This version of the smoke room is impossibly large. I keep walking through the darkness, expecting it to reach an end, but it doesn't happen. It just keeps looping in on itself. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be looking for. Oh shit. Hear a sharp crack, gunshot, followed by a low cry. Someone's wailing, but it doesn't sound like it's coming from inside, but rather the reverberating noise outside, far away. The whole room begins to vibrate as if activated. The rumbling is stronger on one side of the room. I walk in that direction. As I approach, I hear more wailing, more voices, some sounding different and rather close. Flynn! And this huffing and puffing, the sound of hooves and soft feet upon a stone floor. They're trying to catch up to me. At the other end of the long, carnivorous hallway. From the view bar from before. Jesus, I'm not in the smoke room. I'm in the mines. And it's very, very hot. My whole body rumble like shockwaves are bouncing bits my insides. Kinetic energy like 1,000 subwoofers reverberating from the stone walls. We're here. The source. The seed. Dude! Stay back! Initially, it's like a cold shower, an icy sensation that presses against my front and washes over me like a tide. I recoil, but there's nowhere to withdraw back to. First measure, the body is unable to discern extreme cold from the heat, though the time soon passes and the burning feels all too real. I can feel it seep in between the cracks in my scales and lick at the more vulnerable flesh beneath. I'm standing in the fire, but I don't see it. I see nothing. I can't even tell where it's coming from. Wherever I go, the burning follows. The fabric of my clothes ripples and the seams begin to snap away. Some of it falls to the floor while the rest clings to my body like new skin. Even the air I breathe burns, making my insides boil. This isn't in my head. This is real. I'm burning. I flail in the darkness, running now. After a while, it feels like I'm practically gliding. I hear a sound and move toward it. Fucking help me. I utter, my voice raspy and light. Footsteps. There's several of them, and that bonfire. I see the silhouettes of people running, flailing about just like me. Panic everywhere. A woman, Genevieve Sanders, the mail carrier, standing above the fire. A gun is in her hands. Salem's body is burning. And beside her is Auntie, facing down with a bloody hole in the back of her head. No! I pinch myself trying to wake up. I pinch so hard to feel the scale of my arm split in half, and blood that seems like it's boiling pools from it. Quickly evaporates, and all that's left is a mark of reddish-pink flesh beneath scar tissue. I look up and she's still standing there, mouth agape like she's frozen, but her eyes follow me in real time. She sees me, but it's like she can't act. Why? Fucking why? I receive no answer from the horrified visage. She's still holding the gun. She'll do it again. She'll do it again. Okay, we just gotta stop her. I lunge and it's like she's made of sand, flesh dissolving away beneath my claws as I touch her. And then it's like a rope wrapped around my waist, yanks me back. The wind is like sandpaper against my burning head as I fly through the bird shapes and silhouettes. What did I do? Was that real? Oh god, Auntie. Jesus fuck, what is happening? Next thing I know, I'm in front of City Hall again. But everything is different. There's a crowd gathered around a large tree outside, and their clothes are all old-timey like. Men in suspenders, women in prairie blouses. Their faces are furious blurs, polygonal masses of fur and teeth that seem to exude their emotion more strongly than their distinct facial features. A Masetta Fennec stands up a wooden stool with a noose wrapped around its neck, the priest next to him reading his last rites. The man is so angry, so hurt, like tears like waterfalls down his matted yellow cheeks. Someone hurls up a piece of hardtack that hits him square in the jaw, but he doesn't react. The cries of the crowd are obscured, distorted. Something about a child or children. There's a man at the edge of the crowd, a ram, the one the Fennec is staring at. He looks like Carl. The ram pivots on his hooves, turning to walk away, but stops when he sees me, his expression vacant. The Fennec shouts something indiscernible hatred at the man, and just then the stool is kicked out from beneath him. As he sways, feet kicking and driblets of piss cascading down his overalls, as if the ground itself begins to bounce. There's something so palpable and awful that it's beyond words, that I can feel it within my mind more readily than the burning of my flesh. The stony faces of the mob seem completely unaware their actions are feeding something far greater than they will ever know. I'm sucked away again, and I feel my scales fall from my body like black and orange confetti. My thudding heartbeat is becoming increasingly irregular. I'm standing behind a shelf now. There's someone in a hoodie next to me, but he doesn't notice I'm here. He's got a camcorder. Think it's Salem? He's younger. Oh no, it's him. Oh no. A large bear, larger than me by a couple of inches, steps out from what looks like the bathroom door. It's Brian, a meth dealer who lives in a trailer on the outskirts of the old city limits. I see him at the smoke room sometimes. He deals there. Neither of them are looking in my direction. I soon see why. There's a Fennec on looks like a rack nearby. One of his eyeballs is gone, but he's still alive. On the television behind Brian, a slideshow of grotesque images flashes by. One of the Fennec's missing eye on the smokeroom counter. Looks like the place was closed so nobody could walk in and see what they were doing. In the real world, the Fennec's words are garbled and distorted, as if coming from an old VHS. He's feigning love for the bear, asking him to hold him tender-like instead of whatever else he has planned. The Fennec's face also becomes increasingly blurry. Is that Danny? Casey? Keith? There were so many. They blur together. Salem's grinning, the reflection of his camcorder screen leaving a stark glint in his eyes. I feel myself move out from behind the shelf beyond my own will. This rumbling pull in my gut. I'd be pulled away any moment now. To attack Salem? My scarred body lunges, and suddenly Salem's eyes no longer glint. Full circle. They're real! As I'm pulled away, I can just make out the astonished face of Brian. He looks like he's in awe and sense of knowing underlying his fucked up features. I don't see what happens to the Fennec. I gasp into the void, the fresh blood mixing with my own. My actions no longer feel entirely my own volition. It's like something is pulling into my skull. Like back at City Hall when I condemned Chase. We make the justice, and we're given. I pop back in front of the familiar ram and salamander like all that had happened was some horrible vision. But my body feels the same, and the gaping expressions of the duo show no sign of relief. Carl. I can barely make the noises in my throat the way it is. I can practically feel my vocal cords snap away as I speak, letting me only exude a guttural growl. I reach out to him, seeing the sinewy red appendage that my arm has become. Ha! The tunnel shakes around me. Carl and Dax both turn and flee, Salamander screaming his absolute lungs out. I'm terrifying to them. As they're about to round the corner, I see Carl hesitate. He looks back at me. I can't see his expression, and I can't call out to him. I have to let him know I'm still in here. With some strained effort, I turn my wrist around and close all but one of my fingers. The ram continues to stare as the mumbling increases. Pulled away once more. It goes on like this. At each stop, I lose more of myself, mentally and physically. Each visage that appears before me, some new unspeakable evil that I hadn't fathomed existing. From time to time, I let the thing inside my head take more and more control. Sometimes I don't have control in the first place, when the suffering is the strongest. Where Sam thrives, he drives. Like my body had become numb. All but my vision and hearing is gone. They're swiftly fading too. I keep closing my eyes waiting for it to end, but it doesn't. I can't die. I hear the soft patter of feet on a rocky embankment. Somewhere down the way the stones are being skipped. Clap. Someone threw in a big one, and sniffling, followed by a low sob. Crying has become so familiar to me I hear it more than anything else, it feels like. It's like singing, isn't it? Purest expression of emotion. Fuck you. But this one is more familiar. To me as well. I could just make out the audible sound of little pebbles down the hill, followed by a heavy thud. I turn to see a faint gray silhouette with big blue eyes. What? The voice hits me like electricity. This is it. I'm what he saw that day on the beach by the outlet. Finally. Screams. They always scream. I have to follow him. I have to see it. I descend beneath the waves and I see excess fat drift from my body into the tidal current. The water is abrasive, but I'm able to glide through it, swimming without swimming. Something pops up and I suddenly can't see it from my left eye. There's white water ahead, thrashing movement. A slight bit of reddish-pink mist dissolves in the current in front of me. No! No! I strain myself to hear, trying to keep absolutely still. But other than the occasional splash, there's nothing. Eventually the splashing stops and I know my best friend is dead. I rest in the current. My voice in my mind is fortuitously silent, not pressing me to the movement or action. And though my eyesight is gone, and my skull is punctuated with nothing but empty sockets and orifices, I see something. Bright blue eyes and starry skin. It's Daxon, I'm sure of it. He doesn't move, though I can still read the intent of his eyes that he very much wants to. Instead, he remains motionless as we stare at each other. I imagine speaking to him, telling him what's happened to me. My words are rambling, my mind not what it used to be, but it doesn't seem to matter. He meets my gaze regardless. I ask him if Carl's alright. Of course he doesn't respond. I then simply state that I hope he's okay. I go in and tell him about all the crap the Ram and I had been through, about how much I hope he fucking makes it out decently enough. I'm sure they'll give him another shot at the interview on account of town-wide madness. I tell him I hope it's over now, wherever he is. Finally, I apologize for what an absolute ass I was to him, when he deserved goddamn none of my angsty bullshit. He never shows any indication of understanding, or even blinking. Most surprisingly of all, it feels as though hours pass and the hysteria simply holds on, whisking me away. No rumbling, no fire, no screeches into sudden chaos. Just a slow, eventual feeling of drifting away somewhere else, somewhere dry. There's the telltale story of a hot water heater rumbling nearby. It's humming away. Somebody must be taking a shower or it's laundry day. I feel the vibrations more than I actually hear the thing. Then a faint whisper. The sound is stifled as if the upset individual is trying to hold back tears. It's high-pitched, feminine, a girl. The distortion is only slight. I bring my hand up and feel wood slats. When I push harder, the whole surface bends and folds outward. It's a closet door. The sniffing stops. Slowly, I hold my hand up and do a small wave. Gentle movements, as I'm sure the distortion is making it look faster. It's quiet. All I can hear is the water heater in the girl's room. There's the shuffling of sheets, then small footsteps. Oh. Okay. Hi. Her voice is so timid. Where the monster? This is what Jenna saw. There's another long pause. Are you real? I think for a moment. Then slowly I shake my head. What? What? That's how it ends? We just end like that? No, there is more to this fucking story. There is definitely more to this fucking story. Because there was the option to either... There was the option to either, like, raise the gun up at Duke, or there was the option to trust Daxton. And if my memory serves me correctly, there's two stories, there's two endings for this, for Flynn as well. So we've got a little bit more to do. Oh my god, but that makes sense! The red monster is us! Cause we're a Gila monster. We're a Gila monster. Oh my god, that makes so much sense. Oh my god, dude. Okay, this fucking path really did hit the fan. And shit did go so much fucking crazier than I originally thought it was going to. Okay. Well, shit. Looks like we're gonna be sticking with Flynn a bit longer. Because we still got, like, a whole different path to do, and it's probably going to take as long as this one. Wow. I honestly forgot, like, how good that this game's storytelling is. Wow. This is what 5 years of development is. The writing of this is so fucking good, and then the fact that they just like they have like all this different sourced audio with... Oh, hold the fuck up. Stay a while. Hold on, we are not done. 5 years later. Seriously, this will be such a good fucking time. You'll be glad you came. I think this... Wait, hold on. Wait, I think this is, because there's a sequel to this, I think. And I think these are the characters. Keep your paws on the wheel of your paw, at least. Deb's other paw casually steers the wheel, elbow resting through the open window. The bear looks happier than he's been in a while, somehow grinning as he chews. The coyote sighs and stares out his own window, watching the desert landscape fly by. There's nothing like this in his hometown, and he found himself wishing he was back amongst the pine forests. Something he'd been wishing since he moved to Pueblo for school. Technically, this was his natural habitat, but he found the whole place depressing somehow. Empty and dry and rough. What you pouting for? I'm not pouting. Yeah, you are. Cameron sighs, deciding to change the subject. So why couldn't Larry go again? I don't know, said something about his car breaking down. I think he just flaked though. Aren't there other haunted places in Pueblo that we've gone to, like by the school? The bear shakes his head, letting go of the wheel to crumple up the foil that had packaged his sandwich, tossing it into the back. Not like Echo, dude. This place is the most haunted town in the entire fucking world. Cameron sighs once again, then suddenly grasps his seat in the car and swerves and turns hard into a smaller road, heading toward a big blue lake. Whoa, what the fuck? Whoops, sorry, I almost missed the turn. The drive continues, and eventually the map on the dash chimes indicating they've reached the destination. Why? Because a lot of shit happened here. Oh, I think this also happened in TJ's route. This is the epilogue to everything. The grizzly hops out of the car, making the entire thing tilt sideways as he squeezes his bulk out before reaching the back for his camera bag. He takes out a small compact camcorder from inside and wraps it around his wrist. He flicks a switch and Cameron sees the familiar red recording light flashing. He points a lens at the coyote and he quickly covers his face, letting out a frustrated sigh. Oh! Hello? I'm not the horror you're after, Dev. With that, he unbuckles and slides out of the car. Oh, hello, handsomes! The bear waits for him, reaching out a large padded paw. Cameron takes it out and is immediately drawn into a tight embrace and a kiss. The coyote tenses up for a moment and then waits until Devin releases him. Ugh, can you not do that right after you eat a big greasy hamburger? Cameron makes a show of wiping his lips. Devin rolls his eyes. No pleasing you, is there? Nevertheless, the grizzly holds out his paw again and Cameron takes it, the two of them walking toward the town center. It's not a pleasant walk. Most of the infrastructure is pretty shoddy condition, overgrown in places sage brush and dry vegetation. So where are we meeting this guy? I told you, the old civic building. Wait, you mean City Hall? Wait, Cameron recalls the late night rants with Devin over the phone, the bear regaling every last detail of the incident. Where they shot the mayor? Yep. The coyote releases his paw from the large clawed grip of his boyfriend, peering up at him with slightly wider eyes. Damn, are you absolutely sure he's okay with this? Yeah, look. He's the one who did the report on this town after happening in the first place. Devin tries to put on a reassuring smile. He seems keenly aware that the folks sometimes find this large predator grin unnerving, but Cameron always told him it was cute. And he's gay, so you know. The bear rewraps his paw around Cameron's own. No need to be worried about that. Eventually, the two reach the old town center. Surely enough, there's a man standing in the gravel parking lot with his paws in his pockets. He doesn't appear to notice the two at first, and Devin takes the opportunity to film him from afar. The sun's behind him, so it casts in front of the shadowed silhouette, giving him an eerie visage where he might be able to use the video. The civic building's roof is fully collapsed. A faded gray tarp over the walls is all that's protecting the interior. Like most of the structures they pass on the way, an laminated notice of condemnation stamped with the county seal is posted on the front door. After about 15 seconds or so, it's fairly clear that the older guy is aware of the two college kids' presence as he cants his head in their direction. They quickly shuffle up, wearing sheepish smiles and instantly sweat-stained clothing. Aha, Chase! Yo! Hi! The bearded otter seems to be looking at their held paws, which it quickly unclasps and shake his own in turn. I hear a train? Yeah, because the town of Echo, they also have a train. And in one of the stories, or in one of the pathways, specifically Leo's, the train is very important. He offers us a sort of melancholy smile. You two been together long? Oh, sorta. The coyote rubs the back of his neck, the bear wrapping an arm around his shoulder. Yep, a while. Must have been tough growing up in the sticks out here. For a gay guy, especially. Chase lets out a little amused grunt, reaching into his pocket and withdrawing a pack of cigarettes. I guess. I mean, I did have a boyfriend growing up here for a while, so I friggin' lucked out here. If I recall, he was the one who helped you during the incident, right? Leon! Leo! Right. He quickly nods, muttering something about how he should know that before adjusting the camera on his shoulder. How's he doing? I don't know. He doesn't really talk to me anymore. Oh, well, regardless, must have been tough being the only gay kids out here growing up. He sniffs, looking off to the side. Y'all mind if I... Chase smokes now? Okay. Oh, does he still have the wristband? Oh no, I don't think he ever had the wristband, unless if he did, I forgot. Alright, go ahead. Yeah, plenty of fresh air out here, I don't mind. The otter nods, sticking the cigarette between his lips and flicking his lighter. However, he doesn't seem to bring the flame up, instead just holding it out in front of him. The seconds pass, and slowly he shifts the lighter in the direction of the old civic building. Cameron and Devin watch the otter expectantly. After everything he's been through, some oddball behavior is to be expected after all. So, I'm a big fan of your original report you did. Hell, I even did my own little video on what happened when I first started my channel. I know, you used a lot of my footage. Devin begins looking a little nervous, laughing at someone trying to lighten the mood. Hey, credit to you, of course. I'm just some haunting vlogger. You're like a professional journalist and everything. Chase finally lights his cigarette. Oh, was. Huh? Was a professional journalist. I got pushed out on my reporting gig with the KGUA like 2 years ago now. Oh. No one liked my stuff anymore. No matter what I did, it wasn't ever as good as that piece I finished in college. Devin blinks. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He pauses, thinking to himself for a moment. You know, those news media companies are all fascist fat shit factors anyway. Dev, without all that big billionaire funding, they'd be going all the way with dinosaurs, regulated to sports and weather for senior citizens. Chase stares blankly up at the much taller bear, unsure of how to respond to that. Devin clears his throat. And, your social media profile said you were still... I haven't updated that in a while. Ah. Chase takes a long drag from his cigarette, stopping at the first speed bump. He seems to become increasingly aware of the uneasy stares from the two college kids in front of him. Sorry, it's been a difficult few years for me. The statement from the otter makes sense looking at him now. You know, that's also really cool that in this story we get to see Chase from like a third-person view, because usually we play as Chase. He's awfully haggard for someone in his mid to late 20s, his facial scruff untrimmed at the dye job looking less than stellar. Cameron can't help but to think he'd be kind of cute if he cleaned himself up a bit. Or perhaps he just had a thing for sad eyes. Said sad eyes were fixed upon the civic building now, Chase's lips thinning tightly around a cigarette, squeezing ash from the tip. The coyote steps up, placing a paw on the otter's shoulder. Hey, it's alright, we don't want to put any pressure on you. Right, Dev? Right! Devin sounds genuinely supportive. Chase can see why Cameron would be so taken with them. It would be nice to have something like that again, and he finds himself relishing the paw on his shoulder. He didn't realize he was so touch-starved. Still, Chase can't help avoid the reassuring gazes, the otter rubbing in the old spider bite mark on his neck. Wow, it's still there? Let's begin, shall we? The trio begins to head northward, past the burnt-out newer buildings that went up in smoke during the hysteria. Devin finds an odd-looking globe, broken in the middle of the road. Cameron offers to carry it with them, though Devin seems rather adamant about not looting anything. Chase doesn't appear to care either way. And then the mines. They arrive on the outskirts of the nearby mine, warning signs posted damn near everywhere. It looks like barbed wire fencing had started being erected along the main entrance. But Chase mentions the county gave up on trying to fully enclose it a couple of months ago after the folk kept cutting through it. So there's more than one entrance to the mine here. They're all barred off now. I mean, the main entrance was locked up right before the crap show 5 years ago. Okay. Yeah, we do have a choice there. Okay. So this is going to be our main. Devin sets up his tripod, pointing it toward the black void between the rocks. This is where they found the bodies? Chase shakes his head. That was off the side entrance in the A level. This is the main entrance. It goes all the way from A to F level. How deep is that? It depends. The deepest shaft goes down 1,900 feet. Jeez. Chase holds up his hand, gesturing behind him. It's been like half a century since the mine's been active, so rotting supports and the like most certainly have caved in most of it. Devin nods, a tight frown crossing the bear's broad muzzle. It's clear that he's got something on his mind. What about, that one guy? The mayor's nephew. I read the reports now, but what's your take on what happened? Chase hesitates for a moment, not having expected the question. At least hoping it wouldn't come up at all. The otter steps back, bringing his fingertips up to the bars of the mine. He touches them and the cave wall that they're embedded in. He draws back and shows the two his blackened fingertips. The cave is scorched. Well, the theory is that they were flammable gases that were ignited at the lowest levels. It created this sustained burn that started billowing smoke up in the air for a couple of weeks after the whole happening. Yeah, I know that, but why did he walk inside while it was like that? So we did burn to death! You were one of the last people to see him, after all. And those other two, they said they couldn't stop him after you left. Chase looks away, staring off into space. He says nothing, and soon Devin and Cameron are exchanging nervous glances with one another. Next thing they know, the otter's walking off without another word. Wait, hold on! He swears under his breath, Cameron looking out with crossed arms as Chase heads towards his car. Oh, fuck. He's not gonna... Oh, damn, he totally is. What the hell? Devin whines. Fuck, I was being insensitive, wasn't I? You never know when you strike a nerve with these kinds of things. These kinds of things? What do you mean? Devin quirks on a curious brow towards the coyote. Though judging by his grimace reaction, Cam regrets bringing it up and doesn't speak further. You hear the sound of an engine starting in the distance. Devin sighs. Oh, good thing we brought our jeep instead of riding with them, huh? Fuck. Cameron frowns, reaching up and holding the big guy's arm. Hey, don't worry, I'll get the camera. Exploring on our own could be pretty cool, right? The bear's nostrils flare in a hefty exhale. Yeah, I'll pull the jeep around. Cameron gives Devin a thumbs up before moving to grab the camera. As he's about to close in the viewfinder's display, he notices a green square appear in the center of the frame. He looks down to more closely, pressing the display adjust button. Face detection disabled. The square vanishes. Huh? He hits the button again. The square... Oh. Oh no. The whole screen flashes as the lens adjusts as it comes into focus. Fuck! Alyssa stands in the darkness between the bars. He can't stare, not really, because his eyes are gone. Half of his muzzle is missing. Cameron jumps back, tripping over the rocks and landing against sharp edges. The coyote hisses in pain, but fear spurs him on, trying to scramble up the rocks after Devin. The bird's already turned around though, reaching down to pull the camera up. Shit, you alright? What happened? As Cameron clings to the large bear, he looks back, but nothing's there. I don't know, I saw... Devin looks in the same direction, squinting. Cameron stares a while longer, then turns back and shakes his head against Dev's chest. While Cameron looks up at the bear, he's grinning though. Holy shit, did you see a ghost? Coyote scowls. What? No, I just thought I saw something. It was probably the camera glitching out. The bear gives him a knowing smile. What? You gonna be a believer by the end of all this? I know it. The grizzly hugs him tightly as Cameron frowns, still looking back at the cavern's entrance. It's been so real. Before he can really collect himself, Devin is pulling him and the camera along back to the jeep. Yeah, so then we become the monster. Because this also happened in TJ's route. Because that's why I recognize Cameron and Devin's name. Because in TJ's route, they also see... They see Flynn, but next to the lake. But in this case, he's in the mines. With like no eyes and like half of his muzzle is missing. Wow. Okay, hold on. I gotta see what progress that we've made. Because I would probably... Oh, we did get all of them. Okay, yeah, these scenes are so fucking creepy. Especially this one. This one took me by surprise. I did not expect this one at all. Oh, it does show it. This scene also creeped me the fuck out. I did not like this one. Wow. And the tarantula scene with the Black Widow. So I know that there's probably two endings for Flynn. There's gotta be. But then after that, you know, like, all we have is Jenna's. We pretty much gotten everything here. Okay, well on that note, I'm probably going to have nightmares tonight. So on that note, let's find someone to raid.